Chapter 662. Dongbua Shuiying could sense that his teacher was in a good mood. Thinking about it, he understood that the matter of him killing a protector from the ancestor mother religion had been reported to the other 7 rulers. In that case, the news of him reaching the opening realm would naturally be made public. One had to know that opening a Dao in 1,000,000 years was something that even the old man at the starting ground was startled. The other 7 rulers would naturally be startled too. They would definitely have some form of communication with their teacher, Bloodshed God Emperor. Reaching the status of his teacher, the other rulers at the same level as him would be shocked, envious, and jealous of him. It was enough to make the God Emperor feel incredibly carefree. The few old fellows have been frightened by you. Bloodblade's voice reverberated by Dongbua Shuiying's ears. You've done 2 shocking things in a row. It's just luck. Dongbua Shuiying humbly replied. This was just the beginning. If his plan succeeded, he might be able to get rid of 1 or 2 protectors from the ancestor mother religion. But there were still variables. After all, the bodies of those protectors were too strong. This time, they might even be working together. Shuiying did not have full confidence in defeating them. Thus, there was no need to say it out loud. It would not be too late to tell them after he succeeded. Teacher, why would the ancestor mother religion feel heartache for losing the avatar of a protector? Dongbua Shuiying asked again. The ancestor mother religion is very mysterious. We understand very little about them, Bloodblade said, but based on our limited contact with them and how difficult it is to travel to other cosmoses on one hand, it might not be as easy for them to nurture their avatars. After all, we have a different cultivation system from them. On the other hand, they have to pay a huge price to come to our cosmos from their cosmos. That time, they might have moved together with their religious leaders and protectors. For instance, they might have kept their companions into treasures and brought them over together. That time, they might have paid a huge price to send many experts over. And now, a protector avatar has died. Even if they nurture another avatar, it is impossible for them to pay a huge price to send it over to our cosmos. Bloodblade said, naturally, there might be other reasons. I understand. Dongbua Shuiying was enlightened. The price of sending another expert over would be too huge. That meant that the ancestor mother religion would lose another. Being outsiders, the ancestor mother religion would be at a disadvantage when facing the cultivator cosmos. Every time they lost one, their strength would become weaker. The status of protectors was still very important. If too many protectors died, many things would have to be personally handled by the sect masters, and the danger would be even greater. Bloodblade and the others would definitely act. They would not be lenient when they killed a religious leader. Shuiying, you have just opened your Dao. To you, the most important thing is still to cultivate. Deal against the ancestor mother religion. There is no need to spend too much effort. These outsiders will be dealt with by your teacher and the other rulers. Bloodshed God Emperor transmitted. This disciple understands. Shuiying acknowledged. The demon ancestor is the same as the Lakeheart Island Master over the many epochs of our cosmos. He created the 6 paths of heaven wheel and formed the dark abyss. His strength is deep and unfathomable. Compared to Lakeheart Island, even though the 6 heavenly wheel is more cruel and dangerous, there are many benefits too. This is also the reason why so many protectors from the ancestor mother religion are gathered here. Take a stroll in the lower 3 Edens and broaden your horizons. Bloodblade instructed before stopping. Standing on a mountain peak, the mountain wind whistled. Dongbua Shuiying was carefully observing this blood devil Eden. His teacher was right. His horizons were still lacking. The places he had been to that could compare with the 6 heavenly wheel were the starting ground and Lakeheart Island. As for the Lakeheart Island, he did not dare to go to any dangerous places. He only went to the Destruction Eden. The starting ground was even more peaceful. Over there, he was like a mortal. He merely fought with the strongest world deity. Given the temperament of Ancestor Devil, the 6 heavenly wheel would not be so peaceful. South Dongbua Shuiying turned into a stream of light and flew at high speed within the Blood Devil Eden. It was highly possible that the ancestor mother religion was rushing over to kill him. If he were to remain at his original location, it would make the ancestor mother religion suspect that there was an ambush. Blood Devil Eden. Donghua Shuang flew and observed. The sky was blood red, and the ground was black with blood seeping through the black mud. According to the intelligence reports, the lower 3 Edens seemed to be extremely peaceful and safe. But the crisis always comes suddenly, and there's no pattern to it. Because there was no pattern, the 6th heavenly wheel was a terrifying place to weaker paragons. God Emperor was not worried about Donghua Shuang because he cultivated the extreme annihilation mysterious body and coincidentally opened the Tao of Mirage. In terms of survivability, he was ranked in the top few even amongst paragons. God Emperor was naturally more assured. He is constantly moving. A fiery rainbow light was flying at high speed. Within the fiery rainbow light, it was Protector Huizhu. The other 3 protectors were temporarily kept by him. He guessed that we were chasing after him. Protector Huizhu sneered. It's a pity that it's useless. Lower 3 Edens. In the cultivator universe, other than you, Donghua Shuang, there's only Monarch Hex Cricket. And Monarch Hex Cricket is guarding the Black Rain Eden, so he can't leave. Protector Huizhu was actually looking forward to Monarch Hex Cricket leaving. The moment he left, the other team would immediately kill their way over. Compared to the treasure in the Black Rain Eden, the importance of Donghua Shuang wasn't worth mentioning. He flew at high speed, and at the same time, he was constantly receiving information. The information was about Donghua Shuang's new approximate location. After flying for more than 6 hours, Donghua Shuang's pupils suddenly shrunk as he stared into the distance. In the distance, there was an undulating mountain range. There were even weeds growing on the mountain range. Donghua Shuang's eyes were extremely sharp, and his physique far surpassed that of a true god. He could even see the legs of an ant from 100 million miles away. There is no need to talk about this undulating mountain range. He could even see the true appearance of the undulating mountain range under the weeds. This was an existence that was lying there in deep sleep. Lying there, its body was huge, and its head was hanging on the ground. From Shuang's angle, he could see a pair of huge ears hanging down from its head. Even though its face was covered, Donghua Shuang was still able to see it clearly. Controlling light and the void was not difficult for Donghua Shuang at all. He could clearly see the appearance of that face. Its head looked like a dog's head. This was an existence with a human body and a dog's head. Its body was 100 billion miles long. Only by carefully sensing it could one sense the huge body of this sleeping existence. Its abdomen was expanding at an extremely slow speed. It was estimated that every breath it took would take an unknown amount of time, probably hundreds of millions of years. Thus, the rate at which its abdomen was expanding was naturally ridiculously slow. Only those with high cultivation could barely discern it. The more carefully one sensed it, the more one could sense the strength of this sleeping existence from the minute undulations. Ancient demon? Donghua Shuang finally understood what he had met. Ancient demon. They were nurtured by the demon ancestor through painstaking efforts. They were not real life forms. After all, if a cultivator wanted to become a ruler or reach a higher realm, it was not something that could be achieved with just nurturing. On the contrary, it was the flesh soldiers, mechanical puppets, and others that were much easier to nurture. For example, the black dog in the starting ground could not be considered a real life form. It was painstakingly created by the starting ground's grand ancestor. However, that black dog's combat prowess was incredibly terrifying. It was able to injure the Lake Heart Island master. So was the ancient demon. The demon ancestor was a person that was skilled in many ways. The ancient demons that he nurtured were infamous. Back then, the Lake Heart Island master also had a hard time fighting against him. According to the information, there is an ancient demon sleeping in every paradise of the 6 paths Tianlin. The ancient demons in the lower 3 paradises are all at the ruler level. The ancient demons in the upper 3 paradises are even stronger. Even the rulers are at a disadvantage against them. Donghua Shuang thought. Through the 6 ancient demons sleeping in the 6 paths Tianlin, he could tell that the demon ancestor's prowess was far beyond this era. I have to sneak over. I can't wake it up. Donghua Shui Ying carefully held his breath. Even his body started to turn illusory. He started to walk around the mirage world, try to minimize his movements so that he wouldn't wake this huge fellow. Although the 3 ancient demons in the lower 3 paradises were slightly weaker, they were still at the ruler level. Who? Donghua Shui Ying silently flew around the mirage world, avoiding the ancient demons. He wanted to leave this place as quickly as possible. Chapter 663. By the periphery of the slumbering ancient demon, Donghua Shui Ying was carefully flying within the mirage world. He even had the urge to penetrate through the void. That's right. In an ordinary world, one could not penetrate through the void due to the suppression of the 6 heavenly wheel. But in the mirage world, which was created and controlled by Donghua Shui Ying, he could penetrate through the void. This was to prevent the ancestor mother religion protectors from discovering this. Otherwise, if the enemies discovered that Donghua Shui Ying could penetrate through more than 50 billion kilometers in an instant, what was the point of chasing? Thus, despite feeling the pressure in his heart, Donghua Shui Ying could only fly slowly. After flying for a long time, Donghua Shui Ying was still not far from the ancient demon. He had no choice since the ancient demon was too huge. Suddenly, a bubble appeared in midair. This bubble was translucent. It appeared out of nowhere and enveloped the flying Donghua Shui Ying. Even though he was flying within the mirage world, Donghua Shui Ying was still enveloped by this bubble of 5,000 kilometers in diameter. Not good. Donghua Shui Ying's expression changed. Following that, the bubble burst, and Donghua Shui Ying, who was originally trapped within the bubble, burst along with it, disappearing without a trace. Donghua Shui Ying's body, including the black armor covering his body, had completely shattered. Amidst his shock, he had already disappeared from midair. Just over half an hour later, a rainbow flame light arrived in the surrounding region. It stopped, revealing Protector Huizhu. Protector Huizhu had a muscular body. His eyes were burning with flames. He stared at the distant ancient demon. With a wave of his hand, 3 companions appeared by his side. Ancient demon? These 3 companions were startled. They had been living in the lower 3 Edens of the 6 heavenly wheel for a long time. Naturally, they knew that the most terrifying existence in the lower 3 Edens was the ancient demon. All of them had the combat strength of a ruler. Who would have thought that there would be an ancient demon here? This is slightly troublesome. The gray-robed female protector transmitted her voice over. Donghua Shui Ying is hiding here. Are we going to deal with Donghua Shui Ying here? Once we start fighting and awaken this ancient era's fiend, we will be in big trouble. Yes, everyone present agreed. Once the ancient demons awakened, they would attack all life around them. Let's follow Donghua Shui Ying. It won't be too late to kill him after we leave this area. Protector Huizhu frowned and pointed towards the distant void. The cult master has sent news that Donghua Shui Ying should be there. But no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find him. Other than the ancient demons, there is nothing else here. Yes, the other 3 companions also examined it carefully. They were all law protector level existences and were generally able to investigate everything within a range of 100 billion kilometers very carefully. Because the methods they specialized in were different, the methods they used to investigate were also different. However, different methods had the same result. They could not find Donghua Shui Ying. No, he's not here. I've checked everything within 100 billion kilometers, but I can't find him. The 3 companions said. Big Brother Huizhu, are you sure he's here? The blue-eyed man asked. Let me ask again. Although Protector Huizhu trusted the cult master, he still asked. According to karma, he is just 100 billion kilometers ahead of us. His position has not changed at all. Protector Huizhu frowned. Even if he wanted to hide, there is no need for him to hide beside the ancient era's fiend. My guess is that he has fallen into some kind of danger in the Blood Devil Eden. Yes, They were very experienced. The 6 paths Tian Luan's danger always came out of nowhere, and there was no pattern to it. Let's retreat a little further and keep an eye on him. Protector Huizhu made his decision. Immediately, the 4 of them retreated cautiously, trying to get as far away from this sleeping ancient era's fiend as possible. His body was instantly crushed, and at the same time, he was teleported away. How painful! The moment his body was crushed, even his true deity heart was crushed. But soon after, his body and his true deity heart were completely restored. Only then did Dongbua Shui-Ying see his surroundings clearly. It was a gigantic crater. Within the crater, there was a blood-colored liquid, and he was currently soaking in it. Furthermore, his hands and legs were still chained up. This was going on. Dongbua Shui-Ying was slightly dazed. Under normal circumstances, his body would have been destroyed, and his deity heart would have been crushed. Yet, he had completely recovered, as though he had never been injured. Moreover, his hands and feet were chained and imprisoned here. Ancestor Devil. Shui-Ying had no other choice. The Lake Heart Island Master might be more benevolent, but the Ancestor Devil had created the Dark Abyss, giving birth to countless life forms that were guided by dark destruction. One could see Ancestor Devil's personality. My body and true deity heart should not have been crushed before. That instantaneous shattering should be a special phenomenon of void teleportation. Dongbua Shui-Ying thought. According to the reports, Senior Monarch Green was able to instantly shatter and disappear with others. The bubble that burst just now should be some sort of void teleportation. But logically speaking, such teleportation shouldn't cause such intense pain. My body is still in extreme pain. The pain is still increasing. The void teleportation has already ended, so why would the pain increase? It's because of this liquid. Dongbua Shui-Ying looked at his surroundings. He was trapped in this deep pit, but the blood-colored liquid in the pit was actually able to pass through the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor. It was as though water could pass through a sieve. The extreme annihilation mysterious body armor seemed to be filled with countless holes, allowing the blood-colored liquid to easily pass through. It began to corrode his skin, muscles, tendons, and bones, bringing him unbearable pain. Furthermore, as the blood-colored liquid gradually corroded his body, the pain intensified. Let's leave this place first. With a thought, Dongbua Shui-Ying's body began to turn illusory. He entered the mirage world and began flying away. Dang! 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 As he flew, the chains binding his hands and feet snapped, emitting clanking sounds. What? Dongbua Shui-Ying was stunned. He looked at the chains binding his hands and feet. I entered the mirage world, and it followed me? Break! With a thought, Dongbua Shui-Ying attempted to separate his hands and feet from his body. Wong wong wong. Faint patterns could be seen on the 4 chains binding his hands and feet. A formless energy passed through the chains and enveloped Dongbua Shui-Ying's entire body, preventing him from severing his hands and feet. That's right. If the Ancestor Devil wanted to imprison someone, how could I escape with my meager strength? But why did he imprison me here? Dongbua Shui-Ying could feel the blood-colored liquid invading his body. The pain was gradually increasing, but he still maintained his calm. Paragon Huacheng was imprisoned in the Destruction Eden. That was because he had angered the Lake Heart Island. I didn't do anything in the Blood Devil Eden, so why am I imprisoned here? The pit was only 30 meters deep. The blood-colored liquid was also an unknown substance. Be it the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor, luminous sun force, or world deity energy, they were all easily penetrated by the blood-colored liquid. How can I leave? Dongbua Shui-Ying looked upwards, carefully searching for an opportunity. Chapter 664. After being bound by the chains, Dongbua Shui-Ying tried his best to escape, but to no avail. Even my mirage world is unable to escape. My strength is also unable to shake these chains. Most likely, even peak paragons would find it hard to break free. Dongbua Shui-Ying thought. He might be weak in close combat, but his escaping techniques were definitely top-notch. Unfortunately, he had met with the technique left behind by the Ancestor Devil. he was still too naive. This is really painful. Dongbua Shui couldn't help but frown as he looked at the blood-colored liquid around him. The blood-colored liquid was still slowly seeping into his body. As it seeped into every part of his body, the pain continued to increase. Even with Dongbua Shui Ying's cultivation heart and the extreme annihilation mysterious body, he still felt the pain. The most painful thing was that this blood-colored liquid was unstoppable. All methods were useless against it. The blood devil Eden of the 6 paths of Tianluan. Even the black soil on the ground is filled with blood. Dongbua Shuang thought, it is very common for a deep pit to contain blood-colored liquid. I wonder what kind of dangerous place it is. The ancestor devil had reached an extremely high level in the Tao of blood devils. According to the blood demon scripture that he obtained, it was already extremely difficult for him to even cross the threshold. Now that he was being corroded by the blood-colored liquid in this deep pit, his entire body was in pain. Pain! Dongbua Shui was unable to break free. He could only endure it. He even recalled the 100 years when he was afflicted by the 6 ghosts' resentment when he was still a transcendent. Although this blood-colored liquid was much more terrifying than the 6 ghosts' resentment, his current body and true deity heart were far stronger than when he was in the transcendence realm. Therefore, the pain brought about by this blood-colored liquid was not as great as the 6 ghosts' resentment poison. At that time, he was in so much pain that he rolled around on his bed. Even his soul was trembling. Unknowingly, the blood-colored liquid had already corroded every part of Dongbua Shuiying's body. The pain had also reached an extreme. Closely following that, the pain started to decrease, and as it decreased, Dongbua Shuiying felt a strange sense of comfort. Ka. The 4 shackles that bound his hands and feet suddenly unshackled and quickly disappeared. Dongbua Shuiying stood blankly in the pit. It's over. Dongbua Shuiying was a little puzzled. He scanned his surroundings and saw that the 4 chains had all retracted back into the stone walls of the deep pit. They had completely disappeared and could not be found anymore. Not even the Mirage world could detect it. Bring some blood liquid with me for research. With a single thought, Dongbua Shuiying controlled the void. The void wrapped around the blood-colored liquid within the deep pit and directly teleported it into the Eden treasure. This liquid that could penetrate the luminous sun force, world deity energy, and extreme annihilation mysterious body armor was indeed very mystical. Even wrapping and storing this blood-colored liquid required the use of space. Previously, his body had been suppressed by the shackles. Were it not for the suppression, Shuiying would have long escaped, and he would not have to suffer such pain. Swoosh! In an instant, he shot up into the sky, flew out of the deep pit, and landed on the ground outside the pit. Zhang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings. He was surrounded by a blood-colored fog, and he could faintly see a building in front of him. As Dongbua Shuiying walked over, the building became clearer. It was an ancient blood-color hall. The walls, pillars, and door of the hall were all modeled. On the door, there were 3 ancient words, dissolving blood hall. Although these words were not from this era, one could understand their meaning with a single glance. Dissolving blood hall? Dongbua Shuiying came to a realization. It's actually one of the 3 devil halls, the dissolving blood hall. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. Not long after I arrived at the blood devil Eden, I've already arrived at the mysterious dissolving blood hall. Dongbua Shuiying was rather happy. His teacher had long since given him a large amount of information, and the records regarding the 6 paths of Tianluan were very detailed. After all, someone at his teacher's level would know many secrets. In the 6 paths of Tianluan's lower 3 paradises, the 3 devil halls were the safest. The 3 devil halls. They were the dissolving blood hall, the eroding bone hall, and the refining heart hall. These 3 places could not be found through normal means. They were located in the blood devil Eden, the black rain Eden, and the icy snow Eden. It is indeed great luck that I was able to enter the dissolving blood hall. According to the records, this dissolving blood hall should have the dissolving blood secret art. Dongbua Shuiying strode towards the hall. The hall was silent. After all, It had been a long time since a living being had entered. Ying looked carefully and soon discovered that there were densely packed words on one of the walls. It was the dissolving blood secret art that he had been waiting for. Who? Suddenly, a faint light gathered within the hall. Ying turned his head and saw that the light had formed a human figure. It gradually solidified into a blood-robed, cold-looking man. The blood-robed, cold-looking man glanced at Shuang. His gaze was still as cold as ever. Since you can withstand the bite of the blood ants, you are qualified to enter the dissolving blood hall. Blood ants. Ying was stunned. He hurriedly said, "That blood-colored liquid in the deep pit is the blood ants." The blood-colored liquid was even able to pass through the extreme annihilation mystic body's armor. From this, it could be seen that even the smallest part of it was extremely tiny. Blood ants? I'm talking. Shut up, said the cold-looking man coldly. Ying was stunned. He could tell that this was just an artifact spirit, but it had such a bad temper. There was nothing he could do about it. This was an artifact spirit left behind by the ancestral demon. Ying could only endure it. After all, it was not worth it to get angry with an artifact spirit. That wall is the dissolving blood secret art, the cold-looking man said. Since you have never been to the other two halls, you will have to undergo 2 tests in the dissolving blood hall. The first is to master the dissolving blood secret art. The second is to defeat a blood beast in the dissolving blood hall. If you succeed, I will bestow upon you a command medallion of the 3 devil halls. With the command medallion, you can head to the other 2 devil halls. Ying understood this as well. He had been lucky enough to arrive at the dissolving blood hall, but that did not mean that he would coincidentally enter the other 2 devil halls. Thus, the only way was to pass the tests left behind by the ancestral demon in the dissolving blood hall and obtain the command medallion. That way, it would be much easier for him to head to the other 2 devil halls. As long as I can pass the tests of all 3 devil halls, the benefits will be far greater than the supreme technique of the destruction paradise. Ying was filled with anticipation. The tests of the 3 devil halls were usually targeted at supremacies. However, luck was also required. Usually, supremacies would not necessarily be able to enter the dissolving blood hall no matter how long they stayed in the blood devil paradise. No matter what, he had to pass the dissolving blood hall. On the other hand, he was not in a rush to pass the tests of the other 2 devil halls. After obtaining the command medallion, he would be able to find the other 2 devil halls at any time. However, if he failed this time, he did not know when he would be lucky enough to enter the 3 devil halls again. It was even possible that he would not have another chance in this lifetime. The blood-robed man said coldly, "Cultivate the dissolving blood secret art. If you can master it within 10,000 years, it will be considered a success. If you can't master it within 10,000 years, I will throw you out." 10,000 years? Shuang was shocked. He could not help but ask, "Isn't it supposed to be 1,000,000 years?" The information his master had given him was very detailed. The 3 devil halls had 3 great secret arts. Every secret art had to be mastered within 1,000,000 years. The secret arts themselves were not of any help to one's strength. They were merely a kind of test. 1,000,000 years? The blood-robed man sneered. You are a soldier of the army of destruction. If this was the 3rd universe epoch, I would have killed you a long time ago in the territory of the ancestral demon. Yet, you actually want me to give you 1,000,000 years to cultivate? If not for the ancestral demon's instructions, I would not have given you this chance. 10,000 years. If you can master it, then you will succeed. If you can't, then hurry up and scram. Whenever I see you bastard from Lake Heart Island, I want to kill you all. Chapter 665. Shuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. So that was the case. With the relationship between the demon ancestor and the Lake Heart Island master, if this was the 3rd universe era, the army of destruction soldiers would indeed be courting death by coming to the demon ancestor's territory. But the demon ancestor and the Lake Heart Island master were no longer in this universe. Regardless of whether they were dead or had other places to go, the 2 strongest existences of the many eras of the universe were no longer around. How could their grudges affect him? Wasn't this injustice? Just 10,000 years. If you can't master it, then scram. The blood-robed man sat down cross-legged at the side of the hall. He could not be bothered to look at Dongbua Shui-ing anymore. There's no need to bother with a weapon spirit. Although Dongbua Shui-ing felt that the other party's attitude was too vile, he knew that the weapon spirit followed the orders of the demon ancestor. No matter how much he hated Dongbua Shui-ing, he could only cause trouble within the limits of his authority. He only lowered the time from 1,000,000 years to 10,000 years and did not chase Dongbua Shui-ing away. It was not that he was benevolent, but that he did not have the authority to do so. The demon ancestor even gave other universe beings a chance. I'm just a soldier of the army of destruction. He still gave me a chance. Dongbua Shui-ing raised his head and looked at the dissolving blood secret technique. Dissolving blood secret technique. This was a blood secret technique. It was extremely painful when cultivating it. The closer one was to success, the more terrifying the pain. Although he had never cultivated it before, the intelligence reports clearly stated that there were two difficulties in cultivating the dissolving blood secret technique. One was a test of one's perception. It was extremely difficult to master a complicated blood secret technique in a short period of time. The requirement for one's perception was extremely high. The other was a test of one's endurance for pain. The deeper one cultivated, the more painful it would be. One had to continue cultivating under the influence of pain. Having been tortured by the voodoo poison, Dongbua Shui-ing knew how difficult it was to cultivate under the torture of pain. Come, Dongbua Shui-ing calmly sat cross-legged in the old hall and began cultivating. Mortals feared pain. At his level of cultivation, he viewed it as a tempering of his life and spirit. The moment he started cultivating, Dongbua Shui-ing's skin was filled with bulging veins, and his blood was pumping furiously. This secret technique is really powerful in its manipulation of blood. As soon as Dongbua Shui-ing started cultivating it, he discovered how amazing this secret art was. As expected of a secret art that is derived from the foundation of the absolute art myriad demon true body. Blood condensation secret art, bone erosion secret art, heart refining secret art. These three secret techniques were the tests of the three devil palaces. However, they all originated from the legendary myriad devil true body. They were all disassembled from the most basic parts of this ultimate technique. This ultimate art far surpassed the fiend ancestors' 6 most famous inheritances. This was because the myriad fiend true body was the final creation of the fiend ancestor. It was a terrifying ultimate art that allowed him to match the Lake Heart Island Master. It was said that in order to truly master this terrifying secret art, one had to first master all 6 great inheritances. Just this requirement alone required one to open 6 Daos and reach the sovereign realm in all 6 of them. Furthermore, one had to have other external sources of energy to aid one's cultivation. In short, the difficulty of this secret art was extremely high. Just obtaining this absolute art was extremely difficult. One had to enter the upper 3 grotto heavens. However, if one succeeded in the 3 devil palaces tests, this was because one would be able to obtain the most basic scroll of the myriad demon true body. Although it was the most basic scroll, it was still extremely valuable to paragons. Moreover, there were other rewards. Thus, Dongbua Shui-ing felt that he was quite lucky to be able to enter the blood-dissolving hall. Unfortunately, the artifact spirit seemed to be hostile towards the Lake Heart Island Master. Wang, Dongbua Shui-ing, who was sitting cross-legged, faintly glowed with a red light. This was the glow of the blood in his body. Suddenly, the red light dissipated. Dongbua Shui-ing's skin began to emit a mist of blood. Pooh! Not only did his skin emit a mist of blood, but Dongbua Shui-ing also spat out a mouthful of blood. Humph! The blood-robed, cold-looking man who was also in the hall opened his eyes and sneered. How can this be? Dongbua Shui-ing frowned in doubt. This secret technique is clearly an application of the profound mysteries of the law of the world. I've already opened my Tao path, yet I've just started cultivating it, yet I've already gone astray? It is indeed a secret technique that was disassembled from the foundation of the myriad demon true body. No wonder Ancestor Devil would use it to test the paragons. Dongbua Shuiying originally thought that since he had opened his Tao path in 1,000,000 years, it should not be hard for him to cultivate this secret technique with his comprehension ability. But he had already suffered at the start. Not just this, even his true body in the material realm had spurted out blood. Clearly, he had failed in his cultivation. Continue. Dongbua Shuiying completely immersed himself in his cultivation. Days passed, months passed, years passed. Within the blood devil Eden, the ancient demon was like a huge mountain range. It was still in slumber, and the 4 protectors of the ancestor mother religion who were hidden in the distance were feeling sullen. It has been 1,000 years. The gray-robed female protector muttered, "We have been waiting here for 1,000 years, yet Dongbua Shuiying has yet to appear." The information is not fake. According to the karmic investigation, he is indeed still in that region. Protector Huizhu looked at the distant ancient demon. He should be trapped in a certain dangerous region within the blood devil Eden, and is temporarily unable to come out. The gray-robed female protector nodded. "We originally wanted to kill Dongbua Shuiying as soon as possible so that we can continue refining the medicinal liquid. But by delaying until now, the medicinal liquid has long been wasted. Let's wait." The blue-eyed male added, "We have sufficient time. Let's wait patiently." An old man wrapped in a violet robe, revealing only his eyes, said. The 4 protectors were indeed anxious and sullen. After all, their original plan was to succeed in refining the medicinal liquid before venturing into another dangerous region. But now that the medicinal liquid had been wasted, they could only wait here. In their opinion, he was just a newly ascended paragon. With the 4 of them working together, with Protector Huizhu being even more tyrannical, they thought that it would be easy to deal with Dongbua Shuiying. Who would have thought that they would have to wait for so long? They had to continue waiting, and they had to be extremely careful not to wake up that ancient demon. When he comes out, we can't let him die a quick death. The gray-robed female protector muttered. The other 3 protectors agreed. They had no pity for the life forms of the cultivator universe. 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years. In the blink of an eye, 6,000 years had passed. Within the blood-dissolving hall, Dongbua Shuiying's body was trembling as he cultivated, and his face was contorted in pain. Finally, he could not help but groan. "Oh, you actually groaned?" The blood-robed man in the corner of the hall opened his eyes when he heard the sound. He revealed an excited smile. "Is it very painful?" "Ha ha! Do you think the blood-dissolving secret art is so easy to cultivate? This is one of the 3 foundational secret arts of the myriad devil true body. It has extremely high requirements for comprehension. Those paragons need millions of years to master it, but you want to master it in 10,000 years? Moreover, the deeper you cultivate, the more painful it will be. Even your true deity heart will hurt. It's even more difficult to cultivate under such intense pain." The blood-robed man stood up, admiring the way Dongbua Shuiying trembled in pain. "And here I thought that the soldiers of the army of destruction were very powerful. It's only been 6,000 years, and you've probably only cultivated a small portion of the blood-dissolving secret art. The pain is far from the limit. Only when you're close to mastering will you know what it feels like. Well, although I've never tried it, I've seen many paragons lose their composure at the end. Oh, I almost forgot. You only have 10,000 years. Once the time is up, I'll throw you out. But even if you get out, you can still continue to cultivate and have a taste of the blood-dissolving secret art. Unfortunately, after the time limit is up, it'll be useless even if you master the blood-dissolving secret art. You must master it within 10,000 years. The demon ancestor's test is to test your cultivation state and your comprehension ability," the blood-robed man said, admiring the pained look on Dongbua Shuiying's face. Suddenly, Dongbua Shuiying, who had been in pain, regained his calm. His contorted face also regained its calm. At the same time, he opened his eyes and looked at the blood-robed man. "I only said a few words, and you can't take it anymore?" Your cultivation state is really ordinary, the blood-robed man said. Chapter 666. Inside the ancient dissolving blood hall, the blood-robed man was still mocking the army of destruction soldier in front of him. Dong Wuxuang was not angry at all. In fact, he even had a faint smile on his face. He did not want to bicker with the spirit in front of him. Instead, he suddenly released a terrifying aura. Boom! Dong Wuxuang's body was surrounded by a faint blood mist. Behind him, there was also the image of a huge, strange reptile. This reptile had an extremely long tail that circled around its body twice. The reptile's head was even resting on its tail as it slept. Tiger cricket totem? The blood-robed man stared blankly at the scene of the phenomenon appearing behind Shui Ying's body. Once one cultivated the dissolving blood secret technique to large success, they would be able to produce such a phenomenon. Legend had it that the ancestor devil had created the supreme, myriad devil true body back in the day when he had been inspired by those three unique life forms. Only then did he begin laying down the foundation for this terrifying absolute art. After combining all of his comprehensions over a long period of time with the help of many external forces, he was finally able to form this true body. After mastering it, even the terrifyingly powerful Lake Heart Island Master would not be able to do anything to the ancestor demon. You succeeded? The blood-robed man looked at Dongbua, Shui-Ying, and frowned in disbelief. Did you just reach the final bottleneck? Just now, Dongbua Shui-Ying's face was contorted in pain, and he could not help but groan. Now that he looked back, it was clear that he had only groaned at the most painful moment. From this, it could be seen that Dongbua Shui-Ying's mental state was very high. 10,000 years is indeed a short period of time. My luck is not bad, and I succeeded. Dongbua Shui-Ying smiled. Oomph! The blood-robed man became even angrier as he listened. You, army of destruction soldier, are quite perceptive. You finally succeeded. But kid, don't be too happy yet. If you want to obtain the 3 Devil Palaces token, you have to pass 2 tests. The dissolving blood secret technique is only the first test. You have passed the test of perceptive ability, but the second test is actual combat ability. I know. You mentioned it just now. Defeat the blood fiends? Dongbua Shui-Ying nodded. The message from his master was also very clear. Within 1,000,000 years, he would be able to master the secret technique and win the battle to obtain the token. This token was the token of the entire 3 demon halls. With this token, he could easily be led to the other 2 halls. Even if he failed 10 or 100 times, he could still try again. Therefore, obtaining the token was already half the battle. If he failed, even if his strength increased explosively in the future, if he could not find the 3 demon royal halls, he would be powerless. Yes, it's a blood beast. It's specially bred for battle under Master's command, and its combat strength is extremely powerful. Ordinary venerables would probably be easily crushed or even torn to pieces and eaten. The blood-robed man sneered. I heard that the armors of the army of destruction soldiers are very powerful. Don't worry, the blood fiends will eat you up. As he spoke, he pointed to a corner of the hall. Buzz! A drop of black blood appeared in midair. This drop of black blood floated in midair. There were faint golden patterns revolving on its surface. Closely following that, the black liquid began to distort and enlarge. Soon, it turned into a mutated beast about 10 meters tall. It was covered in black scales and was walking upright. This mutated beast had a pair of short legs, but its claws were extremely thick and long. Its arms were half the length of its body. There were 3 curved horns on its head. Its bloody mouth was the most conspicuous, and its pair of small eyes were flickering with savagery and cunning. The strangest thing was this blood beast stood there, releasing circular black ripples around its body. These black ripples engulfed the void. Dongbua Shui-Ying could feel the threat contained within these black ripples. What a terrifying fellow. Just by standing there, I can feel the threat of death. Dongbua Shui-Ying felt his heart tightening. It's different from those fools from the ancestor mother religion. Those fools have low realms, but this blood beast nurtured by ancestor devil is definitely not weak in terms of realm. Ancestor Devil was, after all, from the cultivator cosmos. He was merely from the third cosmos epoch, yet he was far ahead of the other epochs. He and the Lake Heart Island Master stood at the apex, looking down on all other experts across the epochs. There were some apex existences in other epochs that were stronger than Bloodblade and the others. But the gap between them and Ancestor Devil was clear. That sword master of your Lake Heart Island is still nurturing an army. The blood-robed man sneered. In terms of war and slaughter, our Ancestor Devil is the one who specializes the most. In the past, if not for Ancestor Devil seeing the potential of your sword master and feeling that he was a good opponent, that sword master of yours would have died long ago. There's an earlier and a later stage in cultivation. Ancestor Devil should have cultivated earlier than sword master. Donghua Shuang said, "One must know, the starting ground, from start to finish. Only the sword master of Lake Heart Island was able to discover its existence and force his way in. Even the black dog that the old ancestor of the starting ground had painstakingly refined to guard it couldn't stop him, and only took a bite. Luckily, the sword master was rather proud and aloof and didn't take away the items of the starting ground. If the sword master had taken it away, then there wouldn't be a problem for the later generations." And Ancestor Devil and the sword master of Lake Heart Island were from the same era, yet he didn't discover the starting ground, or rather, he didn't go there. From this, one could see the difference in strength between the two. Moreover, over the long years, the Lake Heart Island Master had always been publicly acknowledged as the strongest. Donghua Shuang guessed that Ancestor Devil was only relying on his 1,000 Devil True body to stand tall. But in terms of refining subordinates, he is definitely inferior to our Ancestor Devil. Kid, aren't you a soldier of the Army of Destruction? I'm not bullying you. Fighting with blood fiends has always been a rule. If you have the ability, then defeat it. The blood-robed man sneered. Following which, he looked towards the blood fiend and said, "Do it, Army of Destruction soldier." The standing blood fiend muttered in a low voice. Its bloody mouth slightly opened, and the killing intent in its eyes intensified. "Ever since I've been stationed here, this is the first time I'm fighting with a soldier of the Army of Destruction. Come." Donghua Shuang stretched out his right hand, and a blood serpent spear appeared. "Who?" The blood fiend suddenly moved. A blurry black ripple instantly appeared in front of Donghua Shuang. In the middle of the black ripple was the blood fiend. It brandished a pair of horrifying claws. Countless patterns flowed on its claws, and the black ripple rumbled. A horrifying power of destruction pervaded the surroundings of the black ripple. Donghua Shuang had a feeling that if he used a weapon to block this attack, he would definitely be smashed away. Die. The blood-robed man stood at the side, calmly watching everything unfold. He was very clear of the strength of the blood fiend. Who? The blood fiend was over 10 meters tall. When it brandished its front claws strangely grew longer, reaching over 10 meters in length. The two front claws instantly slashed across Donghua Shuang's body. However, it was as if the claws had slashed across the void. Donghua Shuang still stood there motionlessly. Who? The blood fiend waved its claws, and in an instant, tens of illusions appeared. However, no matter how many attacks were launched, Donghua Shuang still stood there motionlessly. His body did not even sway. What? The blood fiend and the blood-robed man were somewhat astonished. They could not attack him? Both of them also realized that this black-armored cultivator's body seemed to be both real and illusory. No matter what attack they launched, they could not touch him. Is he in another world? The blood-robed man guessed. Chapter 667. The blood-robed man frowned. This soldier from the Army of Destruction is really hard to deal with. The Tao he opened up is actually another world. Although this Tao is weak in terms of attack, it is very powerful in terms of escaping. The blood fiends can't even touch him. How could he win if he couldn't touch the enemy? That's all you have? Donghua Shuang stood there and sneered. I'm standing here, but you can't even touch a single strand of my hair. And here I thought that the blood fiends were very powerful. As he spoke mockingly, he was also observing the blood fiends, trying to find a way to defeat them. You will only continue to hide. The blood fiends stopped and stood there with their huge front claws by their sides. They growled, "You won't be able to defeat me if you keep hiding. If you can't defeat me, you will be thrown out. I'm afraid you will never be able to enter the 3 demon palaces again in this lifetime. Hide? I'm only giving you a chance to attack first. Since you can't do anything to me, I'll make my move." Dongbua Shui Ying's words contained a hint of provocation. However, it was clear that the blood fiends were existences that the demonic ancestor nurtured specifically for combat. Verbal provocation was useless. Who? Dongbua Shuang disappeared into thin air. In the Mirage world, if Dongbua Shuang wanted to be discovered, the other party could see him. However, if he wanted to hide, the other party couldn't see him at all. It was just like how the flying dagger would disappear into thin air when thrown out. He really entered another world. The blood-robed man watched silently. In the Mirage world, it was like standing on the shore and looking at the world beneath the water. Dongbua Shui Ying had a unique feeling when he looked at the normal world in the Mirage world. The vast universe is mysterious and unfathomable. The normal world is just a world where the majority of life forms live. There are many special places that cannot be touched by the normal world. There are even other universes. Dongbua Shuang sighed. The higher his realm, the more mysterious and unknown he felt. He was like an ant under the starry sky. He could only see a small part of it. However, on this journey, Dongbua Shuang was still very happy. This was because the more he knew, the more he could control. Now, he had already surpassed the normal world and was beginning to control the Mirage world that he had created. Dongbua Shui Ying even suspected that the starting ground was similar to the Mirage world, just that it was several levels higher. Therefore, any location in this vast universe could be guided into the starting ground, and the starting ground could also be forcefully shifted to any location. The will of the material world, the will of the abyss, the sun star, the moon star, the Lake Heart Island, the 6 heavenly wheels, and all other terrifying existences were unable to resist the forceful teleportation of the starting ground. Dongbua Shui Ying was full of praise for this method. Moreover, from his understanding, the starting ground's ancestor had been to many universes and was probably not a being from the cultivator universe. However, the strongest expert of his cosmos across many epochs, the Lake Heart Island Master, could discover the starting ground and force his way in. He could even break through all the techniques left behind by the starting ground's ancestor. In terms of combat power, even if he was not as strong as the starting ground's ancestor, he should not be too far off. Since the Lake Heart Island Master could do it, our epoch should be able to do it too. There's hope for me to do it too. By then, I'll be able to explore many cosmos and learn more about them. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a grin. Perhaps by then, the ancestor mother religion might just be a joke in my eyes. Cultivation was indeed something that people would become obsessed with. Dongbua Shui Ying walked in the Mirage world. Looking at the bewildered blood fiends in the ordinary world, he could not help but chuckle. I'll give you a knife first. Dongbua Shui Ying extended his hand, causing a flying knife to appear in it. Who? The flying knife flashed within the Mirage world before arriving by the side of that blood fiend. Following that, it entered the ordinary world to attack. Over here, the blood beast moved and swung its claws. With a pung, it slapped the flying dagger that had suddenly appeared and sent the dagger flying. Following that, the flying knife disappeared and returned to the Mirage world. What? Dongbua Shui Ying was slightly startled as he kept the flying knife. He looked at that blood fiend in the ordinary world. He could actually discover and defend against it. That time when he fought with Leaf Saint. That time, he had yet to open the Tao of Mirage. He had merely relied on the power of the flying knife to advance in the Mirage world and attack. Leaf Saint had indeed discovered it in advance, but his combat power was much weaker. Furthermore, he had discovered it much later. Even though he could barely defend against it, he was still struck. But this blood fiend was different. He discovered it even faster. Furthermore, he was stronger and could actually defend against the flying knife. Let's do it again. Dongbua Shui Ying was in slight disbelief. I've already opened the Tao of Mirage. According to logic, it should be even more concealed. Xiao, another flying knife, was thrown out. This time, Dongbua Shui Ying observed carefully. This time, he discovered it. When the flying knife entered the range of the black ripples surrounding the Blood Fiend immediately discovered it. The black ripples gave me a huge threat. I didn't expect that it could not only defend against the ordinary world, it could even sense the mirage world. Dongbua Shui Ying was shocked. The ancestor devil is truly powerful. A combat creature that he refined is actually able to sense my moves. Fortunately, the range of his black ripples isn't too big. The black ripples only affected a radius of 30 meters. Shui Ying did not find it strange. After all, the ancient demons in the lower three Edens were at the ruler realm, and the ancient demons in the upper three Edens were even stronger. Even the bloodshed god emperor and the others had to suffer. One had to know that the bloodshed god emperor had reached the eternal realm with the shadow world, and the temporal island lord had reached the eternal realm with the Tao of space-time. Clearly, even though their techniques were unique and powerful, they weren't worth mentioning to the ancestor devil. You only know how to throw flying knives? The Blood Fiend growled as he observed his surroundings. Then have a taste of my spear arts. Dongbua Shui Ying's voice reverberated within the hall. At the same time, he was already approaching the Blood Fiend with his Blood Serpent spear. However, he maintained a distance of 30 meters from the Blood Fiend. He didn't enter the range of the black ripples. Ooh! The Blood Serpent spear expanded to a length of 30 meters. It instantly appeared from the Mirage world and attacked the Blood Fiend within the real world. There was a fundamental difference between a spear and a flying knife. The flying knife didn't have any transformations, and it was better at concealment. After all, the spear was a spear art. Its transformations were unpredictable, and its might was much greater. Although it only had a single Tao within it, it was the eternal realm Tao of massacre. Its might was tyrannical, and the blood serpent venom within it was also extremely insidious. Other than its concealment, the spear was above the flying knife in all other aspects. In addition, Dongbua Shui Ying was proficient in the Tao of Mirage. Thus, the spear's concealment was not bad. At the very least, to the Blood Fiend, be it the flying knife or the spear, as long as it didn't enter the range of the black ripples, it wouldn't be able to sense it. Wong! The spear's shaft twisted, bringing with it a terrifying rotational force. Like a huge snake, it attacked the Blood Fiend. The Blood Fiend panicked and tried to block. It was too close. The 30 meters range was too close for Dongbua Shui Ying's level. Against the transformations of the flying knife, the Blood Fiend was able to block it easily. However, against the transformations of the spear art, it was much more difficult for it to block it. After all, it wasn't a true life form. While it could increase its strength, defense, and many other aspects, it was much more difficult to increase its combat prowess. In the first move, the spear brushed past the gap between the two front claws and stabbed into the Blood Fiend's left chest, creating a fist-size hole. Hoo! The Blood Serpent spear transformed into a mirage as it attacked crazily. The Blood Fiend roared and tried its best to block. However, the Blood Serpent spear in front of it came from the Mirage world. The distance was too close, and it found it extremely difficult to deal with it. Its front claws began to enlarge as it tried its best to block. However, the Blood Serpent spear would always attack from behind. Pong! Occasionally, Dongbua Shui Ying's spear would also be hit by the claws. Within the Mirage world, Dongbua Shui Ying staggered 2 steps. The power transmitted into the Mirage world through the weapon, but it didn't seem to weaken at all. The power is extremely condensed. It's slightly stronger than me. Fortunately, it's still far from injuring me. Dongbua Shui Ying was very relaxed. He wasn't even injured, let alone anything else. He opened up another world, so his attacks should be very weak. However, the defense of the Blood Fiend scales is still very strong. The Blood-robed man watched from afar, following which he saw a fist-sized hole in the Blood Fiend's body. He was stunned. but he was still confident. I didn't expect his attacks to be so strong. However, the Blood Fiend vitality is very strong, and it can easily recover. But soon after, he was shocked to find that the Blood Fiend's wounds were recovering very slowly. The number of holes on the Blood Fiend's body kept increasing, and its injuries were getting more and more serious. How can this be? The blood-robed man was extremely shocked. Blood Fiend, what's wrong? The attacks of this army of destruction soldier are strangely destructive. The Blood Fiend growled. Moreover, there's voodoo poison on his weapon. It's a very troublesome voodoo poison. The blood-robed man stared blankly at everything. Although the battle was still ongoing, he was very clear about the outcome. The Blood Fiend's attacks couldn't reach Donghua Shuiying at all. Although Donghua Shuiying only injured the Blood Fiend slightly each time, its recovery was very slow. If this continued, the Blood Fiend would definitely be defeated and die. The attack lasted for more than 2 hours. The Blood Fiend's body finally disintegrated completely, condensing into a drop of black blood. However, the aura of the Black Blood Fiend was very weak. The blood-robed man waved his hand, and the Black Blood Fiend disappeared. "You win," the blood-robed man said coldly. Donghua Shuiying then appeared from nothingness and stood in the hall. "This is the token of the 3 devil palaces." The blood-robed man was very cold as he threw a token at Donghua Shuiying. Donghua Shuiying caught it. Scram! The blood-robed man then forcefully teleported Donghua Shuiying out. A bubble appeared out of nowhere and enveloped Donghua Shuiying. In the empty hall, the blood-robed man snorted and said, "I didn't expect an army of destruction soldier to obtain the token of the 3 devil palaces. Lord Demonic Ancestor is also very merciful. He even gave the army of destruction soldiers a chance." Who? As soon as Donghua Shuiying received the token of the 3 devil palaces, he felt his body shattering and reforming. "This place is..." Donghua Shuiying looked and saw the huge ancient demon sleeping in the distance. "I'm out. I'm still with the ancient demon." Donghua Shuiying chuckled. At the same time, he relied on the mirage world to sense his surroundings. He immediately discovered the 4 protectors of the ancestor mother religion hiding in the distance. The 4 protectors had also discovered Donghua Shuiying. At this moment, their spirits were lifted, and they revealed a joyous look. Chapter 668. Even though Shuiying had discovered the 4 protectors of the ancestor mother religion, he still had to act as if he did not sense them. Shuiying was carefully concealing his aura on the surface. He had even isolated himself from the surrounding light, sound, and everything else. It was impossible to see him with the naked eye, but the protectors of the ancestor mother religion had other methods of inspection. Donghua Shuiying was carefully observing the ancient demon by his side. He began flying at high speed into the distance. Donghua Shuiying has come out. Protector Huazhu looked into the distance. He revealed a sinister smile. "I thought he would never come out again. I've waited for over 6,000 years. What a bitter wait. Cheng Yun is dead, and the medicinal liquid refined has been wasted. It's all because of him." The eyes of the gray-robed female protector were faintly emitting light. If it was an ordinary cultivation, 1,000,000 years would be a blink of an eye. But such a bitter wait was much more tiring. They had to pay close attention. Nobody knew when Donghua Shuiying would come out. If they were slightly careless and did not discover Donghua Shuiying might escape far away or even leave the 6 heavenly wheel. That would be too late for regrets. After leaving the 6 heavenly wheel, the ancestor mother religion could only carefully hide. How would they dare to surround and kill so wantonly? He has made us wait for over 6,000 years. Let's grant him death. The blue-eyed male was filled with killing intent. Everything will proceed according to the plan. An old man wrapped in a violet robe, with only his eyes revealed, said, "We have prepared so many methods." He even brought along the sacred weapons of the religion. "He is dead for sure," the blue-eyed male said. "Let's go." Who? Following the order of Protector Huazhu, a rainbow flame wrapped around the 4 of them. It rapidly chased after Dongbua Shuang. Even though he had completely unleashed the speed brought by the 5th volume of Luminous Sun and the 5th level of Extreme Annihilation Mysterious Body, he was still far from that rainbow flame. The speed of the rainbow flame left Dongbua Shuang speechless, because the distance between them was too far. 2 hours later, Dongbua Shuang was still flying at a high speed. When he turned back, he could see the sleeping ancient demon in the distance. It is indeed very slow to fly like this. In 2 hours, I can only travel billions of miles. If I use the Mirage World to travel through the void, I can easily travel billions of miles with a single thought. The flaming rainbow behind him sped up even more, and the distance between the two of them had already shrunk to 5 billion kilometers. What are you waiting for? Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. He had noticed him a long time ago, but he could only pretend that he hadn't. After all, the other party's concealment techniques were indeed superb. If not for the Mirage World, he would not have been able to discover them. Another half an hour passed. By now, the distance between the two of them had shrunk to a mere 100 million li. For cultivators of their level, this distance was already extremely close. However, since the other party was not making a move, Dongbua Shuang could only continue flying forward, pretending that he had not noticed anything at all. This cultivator, called Dongbua Shuang, is too immature. When Big Brother Huizhu made his move, he concealed his aura and isolated all movements, so he didn't notice it at all. The gray-robed female protector sneered. Prepare to act. The crimson-skinned, muscular giant. Protector Huizhu flipped his hand, causing an ancient circular stone plate to appear in his hand. There were many circular patterns on the stone plate, and at that moment, the stone plate emitted boundless ripples that spread in all directions. They are finally making their move. Dongbua Shuang, who was flying ahead, felt joy in his heart, though he maintained a look of shock on the surface. He looked in all directions, only to see the world changing color. Boundless ripples spread out in a region of 5 billion kilometers. This region of 5 billion kilometers rapidly turned into a sealed world. Within this sealed world, there were even mountain ranges and surging rivers. In the distance, the 4 protectors of the ancestor mother religion with differing auras appeared. Some of them had cold eyes, some were filled with excitement and killing intent, and some were absolutely cold. Protectors of the ancestor mother religion. Dongbua Shuang announced. Who would have thought that they would send 4 protectors to deal with me? They really think highly of me. Why would we dare to look down on you? Off in the distance, the gray-robed female Dharma protector said coldly, I heard that your teleportation technique is even more powerful than the hegemons. Use it once more for all of us to see. If you don't use it now, don't blame anyone else if you die later. Dongbua Shuang became silent. The 4 protectors felt even more confident in their hearts. Actually, they had already made a prediction. Such a heaven-defying escaping technique could even conceal karma. Even Bloodblade and Temporal Island Lord were not so heaven-defying. Thus, they were certain that it was not Dongbua Shuang's personal strength. Instead, it was the power of some precious treasure. And such a heaven-defying treasure could not be used continuously. There should be all sorts of restrictions. For instance, some heaven-defying treasures would increase the karma of the user. Some would erode the true deity heart. Regardless, everything was fair. The more heaven-defying one was, the more one would have to pay. Such a heaven-defying treasure is something that Dongbua Shuang might not be able to use in the short term. At the same time, he should not dare to bring it into the 6th heavenly wheel. After all, it would just be an avatar of his dying body. If he were to bring the treasure in and die, the treasure would be lost. That would be a huge loss. The protectors had already deduced this, but it was Dongbua Shuang's reaction that confirmed their suspicions. From escape? Dongbua Shuang sneered. Previously, one of your protectors died in my hands, and you want me to escape with just a few of you? But you are quite daring to deal with me right beside the ancient demon. The surrounding world is sealed, and you can't leave. Thus, you can't escape even if you want to. As for the ancient demon, no matter how big the commotion caused by the battle is, the outside world will not be able to detect it. Thus, you're doomed this time. Protector Huazhu's voice was grand. Just as he finished speaking, a huge green wooden staff appeared in his hand. The green wooden staff abruptly expanded. Hua! Protector Huazhu wielded the huge wooden staff and waved it across the sky. In terms of laws and profound mysteries, it made Dongbua Shueing shake his head inwardly. His realm was indeed low, but his speed and power far surpassed that of Zhang Yindarma. Hong Long Long, the wooden staff arced across the sky, crushing the space. The sealed world was trembling. Clearly, the power of the wooden staff had exceeded the limit of the entire world, causing cracks to appear in many regions. Dongbua Shueing, who had fought with Zhang Yindarma before, was clear that he could not withstand this move. He would most likely be injured, no matter what. Dongbua Shueing, who was still wielding the blood serpent spear, he was displaying his spear techniques to defend. Pong! At the moment when the wooden staff and the blood serpent spear clashed. Even though the defensive technique was profound and only 10% of the other party's power was transmitted to his body through the spear, it was still enough to send Dongbua Shueing flying far away, like a stream of light. He smashed into the ground diagonally, forming a huge and deep hole. But closely following that, South Dongbua Shueing flew out from the surface and into the sky. The defense of this extreme annihilation mysterious body armor of mine is really strong. Dongbua Shueing was not injured at all. The extreme annihilation mysterious body could withstand a strike from White Sovereign King at the 4th level. Even though White Sovereign King's strength is far from this, he is still an apex paragon with a higher realm. Now that I've cultivated the 5th level of the extreme annihilation mysterious body, my defense is even stronger. According to the absolute art, paragons can't kill me. They can at most injure me. This protector from the ancestor mother religion might be strong, but I can withstand it even with my armor. After receiving a move with his weapon, he understood the depth of the other party's strength. Even though the other party could completely suppress him, he could not kill him. You guys should receive a few moves from me too. The blood serpent spear in Dongbua Shueing's hand expanded as it arced across the sky. It began its counterattack, piercing towards Protector Huazhu. Die! In the distance, Protector Huazhu wielded his wooden staff and began attacking frantically. Xiao! The strange and unpredictable blood serpent spear did not defend against the wooden staff this time. Instead, it pierced towards Protector Huazhu's body. This caused Protector Huazhu to frown slightly. He extended his left hand to receive this spear, yet the spear was like a huge snake that was constantly revolving and changing unpredictably. Unknowingly, Protector Huazhu's left palm missed, and the blood serpent spear pierced into his body. The closer the blood serpent spear got to Protector Huazhu, the more it was obstructed by an unseen force, causing the power of the blood serpent spear to decrease. By the time it pierced into Protector Huazhu's body, its power had already been reduced to 30%. When it pierced into his body, it felt like it was piercing into an extremely tough leather. Protector Huazhu's crimson skin merely had a white spot on it. It did not even break through his skin. This body's strength. Dongbua Shueing was dumbstruck. He had an armor, yet the other party relied on his skin to withstand the attack. This protector is too strong. I can't kill him even if I try. He immediately understood. Of the 4 protectors, this protector was someone he could not kill. Chapter 669. Pong. At the same time that Shueing stabbed Protector Huazhu, the terrifying wooden staff also landed on Shueing's body. With a hong, he turned into a stream of light and was sent flying at high speed into the distance. The internal structure of the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor began to rapidly dissipate the force. Even though Shueing had been smashed far away and was forced to spit out a mouthful of blood, his body was still in perfect condition, and so was his armor. What? He actually withstood it. He actually used his body to withstand Big Brother Hua Zhu's wooden staff. The three protectors who were standing leisurely by the side were shocked. They were extremely confident in Protector Hua Zhu, as he was the leader of their team. Protector Hua Zhu's strength was extremely domineering, and he was able to fight against Monarch Hex Cricket head-on. Even though the Archbishop had already told them that Dongbua Shui Ying's armor was extremely strong, they still thought that even if Protector Hua Zhu's wooden staff couldn't kill him in a single strike, he would at least be able to kill him 10 or 100 times. But from the looks of it, Dongbua Shui Ying's body was completely fine, and he only coughed out a mouthful of blood. At their level, if not for a portion of their life force being completely destroyed, just coughing out a mouthful of blood was not even worth mentioning. As long as their life force wasn't depleted, they could undergo blood rebirth thousands or tens of thousands of times without losing any energy. Protector Hua Zhu frowned slightly. Even though he still had a few other moves, even stronger killing moves and forbidden techniques, his normal full-powered attack was unable to injure the other party. Even if he used his forbidden technique, he might not even be able to injure the other party. This Dongbua Shui Ying's strength is very weak, but that armor of his is extremely extraordinary. Let's follow our previous plan. We will first trap and capture him. Protector Hua Zhu transmitted. Let's first imprison him. After the first exchange, they changed their strategy. So. The four of them immediately turned into rays of light and spread out, surrounding Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was also trying to figure out his opponent's strength through the exchange. This dark red skin protector is ridiculously strong. Even a full-powered strike from the Blood Serpent Spear couldn't pierce through his skin. Give up on this one. Try the other three. Who? Dongbua Shui Ying's hands did not stop moving. With a flip of his hand, he thrust his spear towards the blue-eyed man. The Blood Serpent Spear streaked across the sky, strange and unpredictable. The blue-eyed man's eyes were cold. He sneered and held a long blade with both hands. The blade was very thin and had many engravings on it. He held the blade with both hands and instantly slashed forward. Hua! A furious slash. The entire world in front of him was sliced into two. At the same time, the saber expanded in size as it slashed towards Dongbua Shui Ying furiously. This time, Dongbua Shui Ying chose to fight the attack head-on. He did not defend against the slash at all. He could tell that the power of the slash was strangely strong, but compared to the dark red-skin guardian, it was still a lot weaker. Because Shui Ying was the first to attack, he was the first to stab the blue-eyed man's body. The blue-eyed man also used his body to resist the attack. Clearly, he was very confident in his body. This time, when the Blood Serpent Spear approached the blue-eyed man's body, it did not meet with any resistance. Instead, it pierced through the opponent's body, directly piercing a bowl-sized bloody hole. The blue-eyed man's expression did not change. Although his body staggered a little, the power of his long saber was not affected. It continued to slash towards Dongbua Shui Ying's body. Pooh! This furious slash caused Dongbua Shui Ying to be sent flying again. This time, he was closer to the gray-robed female protector. Trap him! The blue-eyed man transmitted. Clearly, this slash was not meant to kill Dongbua Shui Ying. Instead, it was to draw Dongbua Shui Ying closer to the female protector. Leave it to me. Countless green vines grew out of the gray-robed female protector's body. The green vines and leaves spread out in a frenzy towards Dongbua Shui Ying. Not good. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare to allow himself to be trapped. If he were to be trapped, even if he were to hide in the Mirage World, the vines would still follow him into the Mirage World. In fact, if he was strong enough, he might even be able to pull the vines out. Go! Dongbua Shui Ying pierced his spear towards the gray-robed female protector. The speed at which the spear pierced out was much faster than the speed at which the vines and leaves spread out. The gray-robed female protector frowned. Instantly, countless vines and leaves surrounded her, forming a sphere. Pooh! The spear pierced into the sphere, piercing through a large number of vines and leaves, following which the power of the spear rapidly decreased. Clearly, it was hard to pierce through this sphere. Retract. With a thought, Dongbua Shui Ying's blood serpent spear rapidly shrank and retracted. With a flip of his hand, he pierced out with his spear towards the purple-robed old man. Be careful. His weapon is laced with hexing poison. It is extremely hard to expel it. The blue-eyed man transmitted a message. The bowl-sized hole on his body was slowly recovering. This recovery speed was too slow. The violet-robed old man, who only revealed a pair of eyes, frowned. He was the one who did not specialize in close combat amongst the four protectors. But even if he did not specialize in close combat, the toughness of his body was not any weaker than Shui Ying's. Furthermore, having cultivated to this level, he had his own defensive techniques. Hoo-hoo-hoo. A layer of black fog started appearing around his body. At the same time, he looked at Dongbua Shuang. Without his blood, the power of the curse is not strong enough. Although the purple-robed old man frowned, he still muttered softly. At the same time, a strange and formless ripple descended, enveloping Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shui Ying's expression changed slightly. This ripple was very strange. It seemed to have exceeded the limits of this world, and also the limits of his mirage world. It seemed to originate from a higher realm. In fact, this energy wasn't a commonly seen energy, and it wasn't a soul attack. It was an unknown and mysterious attack. When this attack got close to Dongbua Shuang, it was affected by the life force contained in Dongbua Shuang, causing it to weaken. Finally, this ripple dissipated. Is this the strange killing curse of the ancestor mother religion that teacher mentioned? It said that the best medium is blood. I must never let my blood land in the hands of the enemy. Otherwise, the power of this curse will greatly increase. Dongbua Shuang might have spat out blood previously, but it originated from his body's energy. With a thought, he could retract it without losing any of his energy. Even though he was startled, the blood serpent spear in his hand still pierced towards the purple-robed old man. It pierced through the layer of black fog. The resistance of the black fog was huge. It felt like there were many life forms charging against the blood serpent spear. After its power was reduced to 50%, the spear still pierced through the body of the purple-robed old man. Pooh! This stab seemed to have pierced through the void. It directly pierced through the chest of the purple-robed old man, leaving behind a huge hole. But the other parts of the purple-robed old man's body were not damaged at all. That huge hole was recovering at a similarly slow pace. The crimson skin protector can't be injured at all. That female protector is also protected by the green branches and leaves. Without using the Tao of Mirage, I can't injure her either. As for the remaining purple-robed old man and that blue-eyed male, the defense of the blue-eyed male is comparable to that of Zhang Yin Dharma, and the purple-robed old man seems to have the weakest physique. Dongbua Shuang thought. Now that he understood the strength of the enemy, everything became clear. You can't escape. The spreading branches and leaves had already reached where Dongbua Shuang was. Dongbua Shuang merely chuckled. His body seemed illusory and real at the same time. Even though it seemed like he was still here, he had already entered the mirage world. Countless branches and leaves arced through Dongbua Shui Ying's body, yet they missed. What? Including the female protector, everyone was startled. Why did they not bind him? It is time for me to act. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. Wang, the mirage world descended. The illusory realm descended. In the intelligence given by his teacher Bloodblade, it was recorded that the experts of the ancestor mother religion had tyrannical bodies, but their weakness was obvious. Their realms were low. Their powerful bodies gave birth to powerful souls, but their low realms prevented their cultivation heart from reaching a high level. Even though there were those with strong hearts amongst the weak, under normal circumstances, the higher the realm, the higher the cultivation heart. Bloodblade, Abyss Prager, Peng Yi, and the others all cultivated their hearts to a high level. And amongst ordinary true gods, there were very few who could reach the level of Dongbua Shuang. In the ancestor mother religion, these protectors were usually at the stage 4 world deity realm, and their cultivation heart was not high. Even though their souls were strong, their cultivation heart realm was low, making them at a disadvantage when facing illusory techniques. And in terms of illusory techniques, in the deity world and dark abyss, Dongbua Shui Ying lived in the Black Fog Sea and frequently comprehended the illusory realms there. He had even opened the Tao of Mirage and was definitely ranked in the top 3 amongst paragons. Other paragons might have a high realm, but the Tao they opened was not an illusory technique-type Tao. And Dongbua Shui Ying's Tao of Mirage was an illusory technique type. Naturally, his illusory techniques were formidable. Have a taste of the illusory realm I created after opening the Mirage world. This was the first time Dongbua Shui Ying used his illusory realm against an enemy after opening the Tao of Mirage. Furthermore, it was against a protector from the ancestor mother religion. Amen. Protector Huizhu and the other 3 felt the scene before them changing. An unseen energy had even started affecting their souls. Chapter 670. The illusory realm descended. Of the 4 protectors, the blue-eyed male had completely sunk into it. His soul was completely drawn into the illusory realm. Within the illusory realm, he had started a brand new life. He had a true love, a clansman, and a life to fight for. He even had a new name, Blade 9. He had completely forgotten who he was. This was the true sinking state of the illusory realm. It was like a mortal dreaming. Once he was immersed in it, he would forget who he was. His soul would be blinded by the illusory realm, and everything would be under his control, including his life and death. The gray-robed female protector's heart cultivation was not bad. Even though she had been drawn into the illusory realm, her soul was not blinded. She could still maintain the most basic level of consciousness. She knew that she was a protector of the ancestor mother religion and had been drawn into the illusory realm by Dongbua Shui Ying from the cultivator cosmos. This is an illusory realm. Break for me. Break. The gray-robed female protector could sense her fleshy body. She controlled the countless green branches and leaves to protect herself. She could sense her fleshy body and the branches and leaves, but she could not see what was happening around her. Her soul could not escape from this illusory realm. At the moment when Protector Huizhu fell into the illusory realm, his powerful soul was roaring, "Break!" The unseen energy on the surface of his body was also tearing apart the illusory realm. Under the influence of his powerful soul and willpower, as well as the surrounding mysterious energy, the illusory realm rapidly shattered. The one who had the easiest time was the old man who was wrapped in a violet robe, revealing only his eyes. His eyes were cold and filled with wisdom. At that moment, his soul and willpower had shattered the illusory realm. Huizhu, hurry up and save the 2 of them. The violet-robed old man transmitted. I know. Protector Huizhu, who had regained his consciousness, also opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of flame. The raging flame turned into numerous fire snakes that slithered in all directions. The speed of these fire snakes slithering was far faster than Protector Huizhu's flying speed, and they quickly flew towards the gray-robed female protector and the blue-eyed man. He could actually display such a formidable illusory realm. This Dongbua Shui Ying has truly concealed his strength deeply. The violet-robed old man was slightly anxious. Even though Dongbua Shui Ying knew that experts from the ancestor mother religion were generally weaker in their heart cultivation, the effects of the illusory realm still gave him a pleasant surprise. Although one of them is conscious, he can't struggle out of it. The other one was even more exaggerated. He was completely blinded. Dongbua Shui Ying was suppressing the joy in his heart. Although the female protector was unable to break free, she was still able to control her body and the vines. It would not be easy to kill her, but the blue-eyed protector was different. His soul was completely blinded, so he could do whatever he wanted. Come here. Dongbua Shui Ying took a step forward and teleported to the side of the blue-eyed man. He reached out his hand and passed through the mirage world into the normal world, grabbing the blue-eyed man. He grabbed. Keep. Dongbua Shui effortlessly kept the blue-eyed man into his Eden treasure. Even his soul was blinded. The blue-eyed man seemed to have fallen into a deep slumber, unable to resist at all. Another one. Dongbua Shui was very happy. It was already very good to be able to get rid of one of them. Time to deal with the other one. Dongbua Shui split his attention to control the illusory realm, causing the blue-eyed man to sink into it. At the same time, he teleported to the side of the gray-robed female protector. Suddenly, a chain appeared in his right hand. With a wave, the chain entered the normal world and suddenly bound the gray-robed female protector, wanting to drag her into the mirage world. However, the body of the gray-robed female protector was already wrapped tightly by countless branches and leaves, leaving not a single gap. Even the insides of her body were covered with green branches and leaves. When the shackles appeared and wrapped around her, those branches and leaves frantically wrapped around the shackles. A terrifying force acted on the shackles. Shui wanted to pull them back, but he could not. Instead, the shackles were being pulled outwards. Dongbua Shui hastily made the chain shrink rapidly. In an instant, it broke free from its bindings and quickly returned to the mirage world. The chain no longer dared to pull the gray-robed female protector. Her body was now completely protected by the vines, and it couldn't be pulled at all. The strength of these vines is even greater than mine. Dongbua Shui muttered to himself, "That's right. Even the full force attack of the blood serpent spear wasn't able to penetrate these vines." Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, those tough vines were forcefully torn apart. A flaming figure rapidly approached. It was Protector Hua Zhu's flaming doppelganger. This flaming doppelganger had immense strength and was able to forcefully tear apart these vines. After all, the female protector was currently trapped in an illusory realm. Her vines were unable to differentiate between friend and foe. However, Protector Hua Zhu's strength was much stronger than Dongbua Shui. Even though it was just a doppelganger, it was still extremely powerful. Very soon, it arrived beside the female protector. Countless flames immediately enveloped the gray-robed female protector. Dongbua Shui turned to look. The purple-robed old man had already reunited with Protector Hua Zhu. Protector Hua Zhu immediately kept him away. Who? The gray-robed female protector was kept away. Dongbua Shui illusory realm was no longer able to affect her. Currently, within this sealed world, there were only two people. One was the incomparably furious Protector Hua Zhu, and the other was Dongbua Shui who was in the Mirage world. Dongbua Shui, hand over Protector Zhongxi. Protector Hua Zhu had a tall and sturdy figure. An unseen energy spread out from his body. "I'll spare your life." "Ha ha! You are still so insolent even at this stage. Come if you want to kill me. I doubt you can even find me now." Dongbua Shui voice reverberated within this sealed world. Protector Hua Zhu could not find Dongbua Shui no matter how hard he tried. "Hand over Protector Zhongxi. What are your conditions? Tell me." Protector Hua Zhu suppressed his anger. He was an apex existence in the ancestor mother religion. But now, he could not do anything to Dongbua Shui. He felt sullen, but no matter what, he had to think of a way to save Protector Zhongxi. After all, ever since they entered the cultivator cosmos, they had been extremely careful. Even many paragons had not seen any experts from the ancestor mother religion. It was only in the lower 3 Edens of the 6 heavenly wheel that they had an absolute advantage that they would appear. Ever since they entered the cultivator cosmos, they had only lost 2 protectors. But now, an unremarkable Dongbua Shui had killed Jinyan Dharma, and now, Protector Zhong, she had been captured alive. They had indeed looked down on Dongbua Shui. After all, the intelligence report stated that he was a stage 4-world deity. Thus, it was sufficient to send Jinyan Dharma. They were careless and fell for the trap, losing one of their generals. But who would have thought that, even with 4 protectors working together, they would still fall for the trap? This Dongbua Shui was actually a rare existence in the cultivator cosmos who had opened an illusory technique Dao path. Like White's sovereign king, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, Water Devil King, Monarch Hex Cricket, and others, all of them were formidable. But the Tao they opened had nothing to do with illusory techniques. Even the exalted hegemons, such as the Temporal Island Lord and the Myriad God Palace Lord, were unable to develop illusion-type Taos. There were only so many paragons. Most of them had opened different Tao paths, and only a few of them specialized in illusory techniques. And Dongbua Shui Ying's Tao Mirage was one of them. The illusory realm was a large-scale technique that could cause all four protectors to fall into it. Even though the other three were still fine, the blue-eyed male, Protector Zhong, she had completely disappeared. Clearly, he had been captured alive by Dongbua Shuang. In this battle, they had lost too unjustly. The biggest reason was that they had underestimated Dongbua Shuang too much. Just because a paragon that wasn't considered too powerful in the cultivator cosmos had countered them, and because of their carelessness, they had suffered huge losses. He is also very crafty. Everything was premeditated by him. When he was dealing with Zhang Yundharma, he had never used any illusory realm, nor did he use any concealment or escape methods. Protector Huizhu looked around. Within the sealed world, he could not find Dongbua Shuang. He isn't in the normal world. Is he in another world? Previously, he had been flying slowly, but it was all fake. He had hidden himself too deeply. Star. Chapter 671. You want me to release a protector from the ancestor mother religion? I will not agree to any ordinary conditions. Dongbua Shui Ying's voice reverberated within this sealed world. He began negotiating with Protector Huizhu. Naturally, this was purely to stall for time. Most of his attention was placed in his Eden treasure. He had even sent his luminous sun force into it, sealing the soul of the blue-eyed male who had fallen into a deep sleep within the illusory realm. Teacher. At the same time, Shui Ying contacted his teacher, the Bloodshed God Emperor, through karma. Snow Eagle, what's the matter? Bloodblade, who was concentrating on his cultivation in front of the Cosmos Furnace, replied. I've captured another protector from the ancestor mother religion alive. He has fallen into my illusory realm. How should I deal with him? Shui Ying hurriedly asked. A living protector was much more valuable than a dead protector. But as to how to use him, Shui Ying had no confidence in his heart because he was clear that it would not be easy to directly ask for information. A superpower like the ancestor mother religion should have some defensive measures. Thus, he decided to ask his teacher. In front of the Cosmos Furnace, the crimson-robed Bloodblade was stunned. This brat captured a protector from the ancestor mother religion. Since when did a protector become so easy to deal with? Even though he regarded this disciple highly, placing him on the same level as his eldest disciple, Monarch Green, in his heart. But that was only because he thought highly of Dongbua Shui Ying's potential. In the heart of Bloodblade, this little disciple of his was still too tender. After all, he had just opened his Tao path and could only be considered a new paragon. He was still far from the apex paragons like Monarch Hex Cricket, White Sovereign King, and Water Devil King. Compared to Monarch Green, who could fight against rulers, the gap in strength was even greater, not only in terms of strength, but also in terms of vision and experience. Like Bloodblade, he had experienced many dangers and opportunities during the Paragon realm. Bloodblade had even been to 2 other cosmoses. Pang, he had also been to other cosmoses and had many opportunities. Compared to these old fellows, Dongbua Shuang, on the other hand, was too tender. He had only cultivated for 1,000,000 years and had just opened his Tao path. The only fortuitous encounter he had was when he went to the starting ground, and it was merely a stage 4-world deity test. Therefore, in the eyes of God Emperor, Temporal Island Lord, and the others, Dongbua Shui Ying was just a tender flower bud. They were still very tender and needed to bloom with incomparable beauty. They still needed the nourishment of the earth, the watering of the rain, and the protection of the sun. My disciple has only just opened up his path. He killed one before, and now he's capturing another alive. The ancestor mother religion would probably be speechless. Bloodblade couldn't help but laugh. Even the Primal Master and the Abyssal Primogenitor would be flabbergasted if they heard this. These old fellows had only killed 2 protectors over a long period of time. Ying single-handedly killed 2 law protectors. Snow Eagle. Bloodblade might be startled and rueful, but he still instructed Ying, hurry up and inquire about it. The ancestor mother religion will definitely find the true body of this protector. They'll forcefully wake him up soon. How do we inquire about it? Ying asked. Ask him where is the Cosmos passage from his hometown to our world. Bloodblade asked. You have to think of a way to inquire about it. You can't be too direct. I've once captured a protector from the ancestor mother religion alive. The moment I inquired about it, it caused his soul to crumble. It seems that their souls have defensive measures. It's similar to the punishment of oaths. Amen. The location of the Cosmos passage is extremely important. It's impossible to ask him directly. We'll have to depend on your methods. Bloodblade said, Disciple, your teacher believes in you. Within the Eden treasure. Who? A luminous sun force avatar appeared out of thin air on a mountain peak and looked at the blue-eyed man who was sleeping soundly on the mountain peak. Ying was speechless. He thought that he would know how to inquire about it by asking his teacher, but it was clear that his teacher did not have the confidence to do so. After all, his previous inquiry had caused the soul of the protector to crumble. Let's give it a try. Ying began guiding through his illusory realm. That deceived soul was easily controlled. Cosmos Star Map. Ying began transmitting a portion of the Cosmos Star Map into the soul of the other party. The information was transmitted over. A small portion was transmitted over. To make the best use of time, Ying allowed the Eden treasure to maintain 100-fold flow of time. This was because this protector was too powerful. His body and soul were too powerful. Controlling the flow of time here consumed a huge amount of energy. Ying divided the entire Cosmos Star Map into 10,000 portions, of which 99% were from the deity world. The remaining were from the material realm and dark abyss. He was continuously transmitting small portions of the star map over. Just a moment later, the transmission reached the 6,345th portion. The green-eyed male who was initially deceived suddenly had many blood strands appearing on his soul. He regained his consciousness. He stared at Ying. I know. The location of this star map is very important, right? Ying looked at him. The green-eyed male growled. It's useless. It's useless. Following that, the countless blood strands cut through his soul, causing it to crumble. He's dead. Ying frowned. I've sealed his soul, causing it to crumble on its own. The internal structure of the ancestor mother religion is really tight. He did not dare to ask, because his teacher had once asked him about it. The moment he asked, the other party's soul crumbled. Thus, this time, Ying decided to transmit a portion of the star map over. Ordinary star maps should not cause the other party to crumble. Only the most crucial locations would cause the other party's soul to be affected by the oath punishment. Ancestor mother religion. Within that towering ancient bronze palace hall, the fanged religious leader sat there silently. The entire palace hall had become extremely stifling. A young man clad in a silver robe with fangs appeared out of thin air and said in a low voice, I rushed over as fast as I could and found Protector Zhongshi's true form. But before I could wake him up, his incarnation had already disintegrated and died. After that, he took the initiative to wake up and tell me that Ying has found out the location of a portion of the star map. The location of the star map? The fanged religious leader frowned. Yes. It's roughly the size of 10 starfields. The silver-robed teenager said, Our encampment is hidden here. In the future, the cultivator Cosmos will definitely start a large-scale investigation of this region. I would never have thought that Ying would actually transmit a portion of the star map into the soul of Protector Zhongxi. Naturally, the star map that eventually crumbled would be of great importance to them. He only divided the cosmos into 10,000 portions. Clearly, he was in a rush. If he was slightly slower, I would have been able to wake Protector Zhong Shi and force him to abandon his avatar, causing it to crumble. The huge fanged hunk sighed. Dongbua Shuiying is just a puny paragon, yet he has caused us to suffer such a huge loss. We lost 2 protectors, and the location of our encampment has been leaked. It's just a small leak. With such a huge area of 10 starfields, it is practically impossible for them to find us. The silver-robed teenager said, "Furthermore, this encampment of ours is the most suitable treasure for concealment across the many epochs of our cosmos. Even if they were to appear in front of us, they would most likely not be able to find us. They shouldn't be able to find us. I'm just afraid of an accident," the huge fanged hunk said. Bloodblade and the others had already searched the entire cosmos many times, yet they could not find the location of the ancestor mother religion. But now that the area had shrunk to 10 starfields, the difficulty of searching had drastically decreased. "Who would have thought?" the huge fanged hunk muttered. "We were too careless. From today onwards, we must not be careless even against stage 4 world deities." This time it was all because of a stage 4 world deity. "Our losses are indeed huge." The silver-robed teenager squinted his eyes. His eyes were faintly emitting a silver light. Within that silver light, there seemed to be a huge cocoon gestating. The silver-robed teenager muttered, "Dongbua Shuiying, I'll remember this brat." The religious leaders and protectors of the ancestor mother religion had firmly engraved the name Dongbua Shuiying into their minds. It was this young and tender cultivator who had just opened his Tao that had brought them such a huge loss. From today onwards, they would only pay more attention to him and would not dare to be careless. A cultivator who could walk in another world and specialize in illusory techniques was something the ancestor mother religion would not dare to belittle. Chapter 672. Within the Sealed World. Protector Huazhu stood in midair, his entire body faintly surrounded by fire serpents. He said in a clear voice, "Your request is too excessive. I cannot agree to it." He was also pretending to negotiate with Ying in order to stall for time. But closely following that, his expression changed. "Dongbua Shuiying, you are lying to me." Protector Huazhu roared furiously. His roar caused the surrounding void to tremble, causing cracks to appear. "Haha, aren't you lying to me too?" Dongbua Shuiying's voice reverberated within this sealed world. Within the mirage world, Dongbua Shuiying coldly sneered as he watched this happen. A world deity spear appeared in his hand. He had brought many such world deity weapons with him. This protector from the ancestor mother religion is indeed much stronger than me. However, I have a good helper. Dongbua Shuiying abruptly waved his right arm, throwing out the world deity spear. He used all his strength to throw it out. The world deity spear flew within the mirage world. It pierced through the void and arrived at the sleeping ancient demon several tens of billions of kilometers away. The sealed world was within the boundaries of the ordinary world. It was impossible for the ancestor mother religion to seal Dongbua Shuiying's mirage world. This gray spear pierced through the void and arrived at the ancient demon, entering the ordinary world from the mirage world. The spear pierced into the butt of this sleeping ancient demon. Who asked that place to protrude the most? And it was also the closest to him. Compared to the protectors of the ancestor mother religion, his strength was nothing much. But amongst the cultivators, he could fight against apex paragons. The buttocks of the ancient demon trembled slightly, and this world deity weapon completely disintegrated with a puff. The ancient demon, with the head of a dog and the body of a human, slowly opened its eyes. It had a pair of yellow pupils, cold and emotionless, and filled with killing intent. It turned its head and looked in the direction of the sealed world. Almost instantly, its gaze landed on Dongbua Shuiying, who was hiding in the mirage world. Its gaze caused Dongbua Shuiying to feel a chill from the bottom of his heart. The formless pressure caused him to feel terrified. You know that I'm the one who did it? Donghua Shuiying was shocked. Boom! The 100 billion-mile-long primordial demon waved its right claw. Rip! In the blink of an eye, his right claw had reached the sealed world that was tens of billions of li away, tearing it open and arriving at where Donghua Shuiying was. Although it took a long time to describe, it actually happened in an instant. The speed at which this ancient demon waved its claw had reached the stage of teleportation. Even though it was tens of billions of li away, its claw had already arrived in front of Donghua Shuiying. Even though Donghua Shuiying was hiding in the mirage world, he could still feel an unseen force tunneling into the mirage world and bombarding on his black armor. Hong hong hong. Only then did Donghua Shuiying react. He had already spurted out blood as he flew backwards. At the same time, Donghua Shuiying discovered that the claw had yet to enter the mirage world. But the unseen force from the claw had tunneled into the mirage world and bombarded on his body. Furthermore, his true deity heart had been affected and had started to stagnate. In other words, his thoughts had slowed down. Only after being struck did he regain his ability to think normally. By then, he had been blasted away. Run, run, run. So. Donghua Shuiying immediately teleported more than 50 billion li away. He directly teleported more than 100 billion kilometers away before letting out a sigh of relief and looking at the distant ancient demon. The ancient demon looked in the direction of Shuiying, but it did not continue chasing after him. Instead, it turned its head to look at the other protector, Huizhu, who was still in a state of shock and had fire snakes coiling around his body. The information given by teacher isn't fake. After the ancient demon awakens, it will not differentiate between friend and foe. It will attack all living beings, but it will only attack within a range of 50 billion li. Once we escape to that range, we will no longer be chased. Donghua Shuiying thought. If the ancient demon were to chase after him in a frenzied manner, the ancestor mother religion would not have dared to send so many protectors here. Ancestor mother religion, this is my gift to you. Donghua Shuiying looked down. There were some faint scars on the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor. What a fellow. He can't even enter the mirage world. Just the energy he transmitted into the mirage world is enough to injure me. If not for the mirage world, I would most likely be killed in an ordinary world. Donghua Shuiying mumbled, it is indeed a ruler. This ancient demon had the strength of a ruler. But because it was a life form that was refined, it was slightly lacking compared to ordinary rulers. It was roughly equivalent to a ruler who had just broken through. Its strength should be closer to Monarch Green's. Donghua Shuiying teleported within the mirage world and escaped. As for Protector Huizhu, it was tragic. Ancient demon? Looking at the ancient demon that was 50 billion li in size, Protector Huizhu's expression changed. It is Donghua Shuiying who awakened him. This human-bodied, dog-headed ancient demon was still half lying on the ground. Its huge dog head was staring at Protector Huizhu. Its eyes were filled with killing intent as it let out a low roar. Die. Its roar engulfed the world. It even generated an unseen shockwave that spread outwards. Closely following that, it waved its claws. Different from Donghua Shuiying, Protector Huizhu was in a much better state. Under the unseen pressure from the ancient demon, he could still maintain his basic thoughts. He waved the wooden staff in his hand with a furious roar. As he waved it, countless fire snakes appeared around his body. They coiled around his right arm, and the power of the wooden staff was much stronger than when he fought with Donghua Shuiying previously. In terms of strength, this move of Protector Huizhu had unquestionably reached the ruler realm. It was incomparably ferocious. But when the ancient demon's claw struck out, even before the claw touched the wooden staff, it released an invisible force that caused the wooden staff's speed to rapidly drop. By the time the claw struck the wooden staff's speed had completely stopped. Pong! Protector Huizhu's body exploded from the impact, turning into 3 streams of fire that scattered. In the distance, the 3 streams of fire converged back into Protector Huizhu. However, His face was much paler than before. Damn. Protector Huizhu gritted his teeth. He was not afraid, even if he met Monarch Hex Cricket head-on. But this ancient demon was undoubtedly at the ruler realm. It was impossible for him to escape easily. Ancestor Mother above. Suddenly, a withered yellow leaf appeared in front of Protector Huizhu. The leaf seemed to be lifeless. It was emitting a vast energy. That energy was so high and mighty that it was even stronger than the ancient demon in terms of quality. Protector Huizhu opened his mouth and swallowed the leaf into his body. A layer of hazy, withered yellow light appeared on the surface of his body, and his body began to expand. Pong! The ancient demon's claws struck out again. Protector Huizhu waved his wooden staff to defend. Pong, pong, pong. Every strike caused the world to shatter in a region of 5 billion kilometers. The ground sank, forming deep pits. Its power left Dongbua Shui Ying speechless, so ferocious. That protector of the ancestor mother religion seems to have become much more ferocious. Even so, Protector Huizhu was still sent flying every time. He would spurt out blood every time. But at least his body remained intact, and it did not shatter. It seemed that after eating that leaf, his strength and defenses had become much stronger. He was sent flying time and time again, but he had to escape every time. His current flying speed had become much faster, and he could travel tens of millions of kilometers in the blink of an eye. It isn't easy to fly out a region of 50 billion kilometers. Dongbua Shui Ying watched silently. During the escape, other than eating a withered yellow leaf, Protector Huizhu had also donned a strange silver armor as he fled. The silver armor glowed with light, and as it was whipped over and over again, the light on the silver armor gradually dimmed. But after fleeing for close to an hour, the ancient demon finally gave up on chasing after him. He really managed to escape. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head inwardly as he saw this. I thought the ancient demon would be able to kill him and eliminate the 3 protectors in one fell swoop. Clearly, Protector Huizhu and the others were a small team. Being the leader of the team, Protector Huizhu naturally brought along some precious treasures with him. During crucial moments, he could protect his comrades. Previously, Dongbua Shui Ying's illusory realm had descended on a large area, preventing him from saving his comrades. Oh, that ancient demon stood up straight and roared towards the sky. His roar created a shockwave that spread in all directions. It was transmitted extremely quickly. Even though they were separated by more than 50 billion kilometers, Dongbua Shui Ying could still feel the spatial ripples above him. Following that, the ancient demon disappeared. It seems to have found another place to sleep. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. Its strength should be comparable to my senior brother Monarch Green. In fact, its usage of the realm is slightly weaker. It seems that I am still lacking compared to my senior brother and the others. Dongbua Shui Ying watched the battle and became more clear-headed. Time to head to the 3 devil palaces. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately teleported towards the other paradise of the 3 lower paradises, the Black Rain Paradise. So. This time, his speed was much faster. Every time he teleported, he would cover a distance of 50 billion kilometers. He was rushing towards the passageway between the Blood Devil Paradise and the Black Rain Paradise. Chapter 673. The sky was dyed blood red. Protector Huizhu landed on the mountain peak with an ugly expression. He turned back to look in the direction of the ancient demon. Not only did we use a leaf from the Void Ancestral Tree, we were even forced to use the Ancestor Mother Protective Sacred Armor. More than half of the energy stored within the armor has been lost, and not only did we fail to deal with Dongbua Shui Ying, we even suffered such a huge loss. Huizhu, a voice sounded in his mind. Religious leader. Protector Huizhu transmitted, how is it? We have suffered such a huge loss. We have to think of a way to deal with this Dongbua Shui Ying. I have already discussed with the other religious leaders, and we have decided not to become enemies with Dongbua Shui Ying for the time being. That voice continued. What? We are letting it go just like that? Protector Huizhu was unwilling. This was the greatest humiliation he had suffered ever since he came to the Cultivator Cosmos. The two protectors leading the team had died one after another, and he had even lost some of the important treasures he brought with him. All of these made Protector Huizhu feel humiliated. Religious leader, we have the absolute advantage in the lower 3 Edens. We can pay a higher price. As long as we kill Dongbua Shuiying, we might be able to obtain the mysterious treasure that allowed him to teleport away. Protector Huizhu said, Dongbua Shuiying is able to open another world, and he cultivates the strongest defensive absolute art in their cosmos, the extreme annihilation mysterious body. You have said it yourself, that even the ancient demon could not kill him. He could escape hundreds of billions of kilometers away in an instant. Furthermore, our protectors do not specialize in their realms and are unable to harm him at all. The religious leader continued, But we can use the treasures of the religion. Protector Huizhu said, It's not worth it. The religious leader continued, This time, our losses are not small. Who dares to say that Dongbua Shuiying is not a trap set by the Bloodblade? Dongbua Shuiying might be carrying a treasure bestowed by the Bloodblade. At that time, we will suffer even greater losses. Furthermore, he might be able to use that escaping technique again. Even if we send the treasures in, it will be useless. Indeed, Dongbua Shuiying was now at the opening realm, so he could definitely go to the starting ground. However, he was at the bottom of the honorables, so he would definitely die if he went to the starting ground. But if he were to fall into a desperate situation where he could not escape, and everything he had would land in the hands of the ancestor mother religion after he died, Dongbua Shuiying would rather return to the starting ground. No matter what, he could not let the ancestor mother religion benefit. But Protector Huizhu felt aggrieved. This Dongbua Shuiying's offensive prowess is just average, but his survivability is incredible. The price to kill him is too high. Even if he leaves the 6 paths Tianluan and is in the normal celestial realm, I have no confidence in killing him. This matter has already been discussed and decided by the various sect masters. There's no need for you to say anything more. Yes, Protector Huizhu could only accept the order. Stay away from him. Since you can't kill him, just ignore him. After the hierarch finished instructing, he cut off the connection. The ancestor mother religion decided to ignore this troublesome Dongbua Shuiying, and the rulers at the highest level of the cultivator cosmos were in an uproar. Abyss Progenitor, Primal Master, Empress Qianhe, Purgatory Ruler, and others were all shocked. It was fine that Dongbua Shui Snow Eagle killed 2 ancestor mother religion protectors one after another. After all, killing Zhenyan Dharma had given them a shock. And now, he killed Protector Zhongxi. They could only sigh in admiration. But when Bloodblade took out the star map provided by Dongbua Shui, the base of the ancestor mother religion and the location of the Cosmos Passage should be within this star field. All the rulers were shocked at that moment, because the cultivator cosmos and the ancestor mother religion were fighting. The most crucial thing was to find the base of the ancestor mother religion and that Cosmos Passage. As long as they destroyed the Cosmos Passage, the ancestor mother religion would not be able to send any more experts over. The members of the ancestor mother religion in the cultivator cosmos would be like water without a source. Hence, the location of the Cosmos Passage was crucial. The ancestor mother religion would most likely build their base near the passage and protect it well. Even if the cultivator cosmos discovered the location of the passage, they would have to attack the base of the ancestor mother religion first. Otherwise, they would not be able to destroy the passage. That was the crux of the conflict. Bloodblade, Primal Master, and others have been searching for the location of the Cosmos Passage and the base of the ancestor mother religion. But they could not find it. After all, it was within the 6 heavenly wheel that the ancestor mother religion protectors were arrogant. Outside, they were extremely cunning and careful. Many paragons had yet to meet the protectors of the ancestor mother religion. One could see how secretive they were. Just a region of 10 starfields? Good. Ha, that's great. With such a big region, we'll have to spend some time to search through every region. Let's find the ancestor mother religion. The rulers of the cultivator cosmos were filled with fighting spirit at that moment. They had nowhere to use their strength for so many years. They were different from the ancestor mother religion. Even if they died in battle, their true bodies could rapidly refine another avatar. They were not afraid of death. With such an advantage, why would they fear battle? But they could not find any enemies in the past. Bloodblade. This is found by your disciple. It's that person called Dongbua Shuang. He is quite formidable. What out did he open? Previously, you did not say anything even when we asked. Now that the ancestor mother religion knows about it, it's time for you to say it. The rulers were all pleasantly surprised. Previously, killing the protectors had only slightly reduced the strength of the other party. After all, the foundation of the ancestor mother religion was still those religious leaders. However, this star map was the key that would affect the outcome of the battle. Tao of Mirage. Bloodblade answered. No wonder he could walk in the Mirage world, preventing the ancestor mother religion from injuring him. He is also good in the illusory realm. No wonder he could capture a protector alive and obtain information from him. The rulers were enlightened. It was difficult to capture the protector alive. But even if he was captured alive, it would be even harder to interrogate him. The protectors of the ancestor mother religion could completely sever their six senses, and there was no way to interrogate them. It was only because Dongbua Shuang caused the other party to fall into an illusory realm that they could interrogate him. The other party did not resist as he received the information transmitted by Dongbua Shuang. Many star maps, all the way until the crucial star maps caused his soul to collapse from the backlash. This brat has contributed greatly. We must not mistreat him. Primal Master took the initiative to say, "Right, we must not mistreat my disciple." Bloodblade added, "Bloodblade, in terms of treasures, you are above us." Temporal Island Lord sneered. He was not too willing to hand over too many treasures. This implicates our entire cultivator cosmos. This brat Snow Eagle has contributed greatly, and we must not treat him as if he did not exist. Abyss Primogenitor added, the top three existences in this cosmos, Bloodblade, Abyss Primogenitor, and Primal Master, had spoken. Empress Qian, he, and the others also agreed. Temporal Island Lord did not say anything else. All of you should know that my disciple might have a high comprehension ability, but he has opened his Tao path when he was a stage 4 world deity. This is too troublesome. Unless he becomes a ruler, he will not be able to transcend. Thus, we have to think of a way to increase his chances of becoming a ruler. Bloodblade had long prepared for this. He deliberately said this. Speak directly. Temporal Island Lord urged. My thoughts are very simple. Bloodshed God Emperor began. Blood Devil Eden. So. Dongbua Shuang walked within the Mirage world. He teleported time and time again. This time, his speed was much faster than before. I have arrived. Dongbua Shuang looked ahead. The blood clouds in the sky had formed a maelstrom. Within this maelstrom, space was vaguely distorted. Dongbua Shuang was clear that this maelstrom in the sky led to the Black Rain Eden of the 3 lower Edens. Chapter 674. Dongbua Shuang was not in a rush to enter the Black Rain Eden. Instead, he descended and sat cross-legged on the wasteland. His body remained illusory and real as he sensed the surrounding mirage world. After all, he could not afford to be careless in the 3 Edens under the 6 heavenly wheel. Let's see what treasures these 2 protectors have. Dongbua Shuang had yet to examine the treasures left behind by the 2 protectors. With a flip of his hand, a dark gray stone rod appeared. So heavy, Dongbua Shuang mumbled to himself. With his strength, he could destroy countless stars in a starry sky with a flick of his finger. Yet, he felt that this stone rod was heavy. The refinement of this stone rod is too crude. It can't even compare to some world deity weapons. Dongbua Shuang was dumbfounded. It was a weapon owned by the protectors of the ancestor mother religion. Yet this stone rod only had the ability to change its size. Other than that, The reason why it was so heavy was purely due to the material it was made from. Zhenyan Dharma used this as his weapon. Zhenyan Dharma has reached the stage 4 world deity realm in the laws and profound mysteries. Why is his weapon refinement so crude? Dongbua Shuang thought. But he did not know. Before the ancestor-mother religion entered the cultivator cosmos, their cultivation techniques did not include the laws and profound mysteries. Their understanding of the laws and profound mysteries was even more crude. It was only after they came here that they secretly obtained the cultivation system of the cultivators. Only then did they begin to grow rapidly. After all, their foundations were already strong, allowing them to easily reach the stage for world deity realm. But to reach higher? That was difficult. What exactly is the material used to make it so heavy and indestructible? Dongbua Shuang mumbled, I'll ask my teacher when I return. It should fetch quite a high price if I sell it as a material. He took out one item after another. Even though there were a few that were strange and unrecognizable, the majority of them were very shabby. Poor, so poor. I don't even have any good treasures with me. I reckon that all the treasures are with Protector Huazhu. Dongbua Shuang thought in his heart. When Protector Huazhu took out that withered yellow leaf, he could clearly sense the aura contained within that withered yellow leaf, despite being hundreds of millions of miles away. That aura surpassed that of the ancient demon. On the other hand, Zhenyan Dharma was relatively poor. He was probably about the same as an ordinary almighty in the cultivator civilization. He really didn't deserve his status as a protector. Check the other one. Dongbua Shuang began checking the other protector Zhongxi. Hua. First, a saber appeared in his hand. The saber was completely black, and its blade was very thin. There were many engravings on it. This is much more exquisite than the stone rod. Wu True God Weapon, and it contains an eternal level Tao. Shuang revealed a joyous look. The value of this true God weapon was much higher because the true bodies of the two protectors who died should be in another cosmos. After the avatars died, this true God weapon should not be able to sense the existence of another cosmos, and it would directly become an ownerless weapon that could be easily sensed. The Tao it contains is a little special. Dongbua Shuang could sense that within the world of nothingness, formless saber lights were slashing and killing. Saber Tao. Dongbua Shuang guessed. Names were given by cultivators. The Tao contained within this true God weapon was the saber Tao of massacre. The saber slaughtered in all directions, killing, killing, killing. There was nothing it could not kill. Its killing nature was extremely heavy, and it had become paranoid and crazy. It was somewhat similar to the demons in the dark abyss. Let's call it Demon Saber. Dongbua Shuang casually came up with a name. Although this was a true God weapon with an eternal level Tao of massacre, and its value was close to that of the blood serpent spear, he was very cautious when he was comprehending it. This was because when he tried to sense it, he could feel the crazy aura coming from the Tao of massacre, and it was trying to influence him. After a simple check, Dongbua Shuang was surprised and delighted. The treasures left behind by Protector Zhongxi were much more than those left behind by Zhenyan Dharma. Judging from these items, it was possible that he had killed a paragon and obtained them. It was also possible that he had a fortuitous encounter in some place like the 6 paths of Heavenly Wheel, which allowed him to obtain a batch of treasures from the cultivator universe. Among them, the most precious was the eternal level Demon Saber. South. After keeping everything, Dongbua Shuang stood up and soared into the sky, heading towards the huge whirlpool formed by the clouds. The space within the whirlpool distorted. Who? After flying into the whirlpool, he rapidly headed towards another grotto heaven, following which his vision blurred, and Dongbua Shuang appeared in midair. In front of him was a boundless rain that connected heaven and earth. The rain here was black. The black rain of the Black Rain Grotto Heaven would never stop. Black Rain Grotto Heaven. Dongbua Shuang flipped his hand and held the 3 Devil Palaces command token. Instantly, the command token reacted. Over there. Dongbua Ying understood that the eroding bone palace of the three devil palaces was located in front of him on the left. But he was not in a rush. After arriving at the Black Rain Grotto Heaven, he naturally had to pay a visit to Monarch Hex Cricket, who had been guarding this place. So. Teleportation in the Mirage world was extremely fast. Even if he did not deliberately increase his speed, he only needed a breath of time to travel a distance of a few trillion kilometers. Donghua Shui Ying could already see a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious green robes seated cross-legged on a huge, protruding rock. There were two soft feelers protruding from his forehead, and his eyes were glowing green. A misty green light pillar spanned a total of 1 trillion kilometers. With him as the core, it shot into the sky and pierced towards the deepest part of the firmament. This was Monarch Hex Cricket. He was guarding this place by himself, an existence that even the ancestor mother religion could do nothing against. Perhaps he might be slightly weaker than the ancient demon in terms of direct combat strength, but Monarch Hex Cricket had reached an extremely high level in the laws and profound mysteries. He specialized in 2 Daos, and they were both Daos that leaned toward survival. He had cultivated them to the pinnacle and was just a step away from becoming a ruler. Most paragons would be amazing if they specialized in a single Dao that protected their lives, but he specialized in 2. However, he was proficient in 2 of them, and when they worked together, not even sovereigns could do anything to him. His survivability was even stronger than most sovereigns. Even though the ancestor mother religion had religion protection treasures, they could not do anything against him. Monarch Hex Cricket's 2 Daos were heaven-defying. They were called Undying and Life, respectively. Under normal circumstances, he could not be killed. According to the intelligence reports, the ancestor mother religion had once paid a huge price to kill him. Their souls were scattered, and nothing was left. But very soon, Monarch Hex Cricket came back to life within the Black Rain Grotto Heaven. If it was Water Devil King, he could still be imprisoned by Primal Master. As for Monarch Hex Cricket, it was still unknown if Primal Master could imprison him. In addition, he was too kind, benevolent, and had a good temper. Not a single ruler had thought of acting against him. Even the sinister and selfish Temporal Island Lord did not act against Monarch Hex Cricket. He was ranked behind Monarch Green and Great Destruction. It was only because his offense was slightly lacking that he was ranked behind them. Hua! Monarch Hex Cricket opened his eyes. He smiled at Donghua Shui Ying, Monarch Donghua. His smile was filled with endless life force. Even though he was sitting cross-legged in this Black Rain Grotto Heaven that was filled with despair, he was still emitting a vigorous life force that affected the surrounding 50 billion kilometers. Monarch Hex Cricket, Donghua Shui Ying descended and stood on the surface of the Blackwater Lake. I heard that you have killed another protector from the ancestor mother religion. You have killed 2 protectors in succession. Monarch Hex Cricket exclaimed. It is also luck. I have just broken through, and nobody in the entire cosmos knows of my true strength. In addition, they're looking down on me. That is why I succeeded in one fell swoop. Donghua Shui Ying chuckled. It will be difficult to kill another protector. The ancestor mother religion had a deeper understanding of Donghua Shui Ying now. Naturally, they would be vigilant and would not give him a chance. It is precisely because you have opened your Tao in 1,000,000 years, and it is the Tao of Mirage too. That is why they did not expect you to succeed. Monarch Hex Cricket said, not everyone can reach such a realm in 1,000,000 years. Currently, other than the rulers, several other apex paragons know of your matter. Monarch Hex Cricket chuckled. The ancestor mother religion is not considered a secret amongst the apex paragons. You killing 2 protectors has shocked my group of old friends. Even Great Destruction, who has a cold personality, has taken the initiative to ask me about you. He did not dare believe it. Currently, this group of old friends is mostly talking about you. Chapter 675. After chatting with Monarch Hex Cricket for a while, Donghua Shui Ying bade farewell and headed towards Eroding Bone Palace. Who? Xiao Chun kept teleporting in the Mirage world, following the three Devil Palaces command medallion. Soon, he arrived at his destination. He watched helplessly as a bubble appeared out of thin air and enveloped him. Then, he instantly shattered and disappeared. Donghua Shui-Ying looked at the black lake in front of him. In the middle of the lake, there were many pillars that went deep into the lake. These pillars supported an ancient hall, and the main entrance of the hall was modeled. There were 3 words on it: Bone-Eroding Hall. With a single step, he traversed hundreds of feet and landed in front of the palace door. One of the 3 demon palaces, the Eroding Bone Palace. Donghua Shui-Ying strode in. The Bone-Eroding Palace was very old, and because the door had never been closed, the interior of the palace was very dirty. He raised his head and looked at the wall, and soon found the densely packed words. It was one of the 3 basic secret arts, the bone-eroding secret art. You came in with a token? You're the soldier from the army of destruction? Inside the hall, countless black water droplets condensed and formed a black-clothed old man. It's me, Donghua Shui-Ying said. The bone-eroding secret technique is there. Hurry up and cultivate it. If you can't master it within 10,000 years, scram. The black-clad old man shouted. The subordinates of the demon ancestor are so hostile towards the soldiers of the army of destruction. It's not like I'm from the 3rd universe era. Donghua Shui-Ying said. Humph. The black-robed old man snorted coldly and sat down cross-legged in a corner, too lazy to say another word. Seeing this, Donghua Shui-Ying did not hold it against him. Instead, he raised his head and began to memorize the bone-eroding secret art. Now that he had the token, he was no longer in a rush. Even if he failed to master it within 10,000 years and was thrown out, he could still cultivate it outside. Once he had mastered it, he would be able to easily pass the test. This was the benefit of having a token. With a medallion, one could enter the 3 demon halls again and again. There were countless opportunities. Therefore, the most important thing was to enter coincidentally the first time. He had to succeed. Bone-eroding secret skill? Donghua Shui-Ying nodded lightly after reading it. It's in a completely different direction from the hemolysis mystic art. It cultivates the bones, and the pain is intense. I wonder why the fiend ancestor's strongest mystic art, the myriad fiend true body, has such intense pain when created. The blood condensation secret art, bone erosion secret art, and heart refining secret art were all extremely painful. The hemolysis and bone eroding secret techniques were still manageable, as they targeted the blood and bones respectively. The extreme pain would also affect the soul. The cultivating heart secret art was purely targeted at the true deity heart. It hurts. Donghua Shui-Ying was bewildered by the fact that he had to maintain his consciousness and continue cultivating despite the intense pain. How did he manage to create such a secret art? The fiend ancestor was indeed the existence that created the dark abyss. Even the art he created was unique. Let's start cultivating. I hope I can succeed in 10,000 years. Donghua Shui-Ying sat down cross-legged and began cultivating the secret art. His main body, which was in the Crimson Rock Mountain world, was also cultivating it. As he cultivated, Donghua Shui-Ying's bones gradually pierced out of his skin and muscles, revealing themselves. These sparkling and translucent bones even connected with each other, forming a single entity. Donghua Shui-Ying's body was gradually covered with a layer of bones. His entire body was slowly transforming into a bone man. Pa! His bones broke, following which pa sounds rang out as a large number of bones on the surface of his body broke apart. This was the collapse of the innermost layer of his bones. In an instant, all the bones in Donghua Shui-Ying's body broke apart. His entire body was boneless. But soon after, the world deity energy in his body transformed, and his bones grew once more, recovering to their original state. Time passed. After spending over 100 years, Donghua Shui-Ying's body finally formed a layer of perfect bone armor. The armor was sparkling and translucent, as though it was a single entity. Even a bone helmet appeared on his head, revealing only a pair of eyes. The first step has been completed. Next, Dongbua Shui Ying continued cultivating. The bone armor on his body was starting to corrode. It was like a rock being corroded by the wind. These bones were also being corroded. This pain caused Dongbua Shui Ying to frown. Previously, he was still wearing the sparkling and translucent bone armor, looking rather handsome. But in the blink of an eye, his entire body was being corroded, becoming tattered. Bone corrosion secret art. This name is truly good. It's truly bone corrosion. Dongbua Shui Ying was very clear that this was only the first type of bone corrosion secret art. He needed to succeed in all 3,000 types of bone corrosion secret arts before he could succeed in cultivating this secret art. What made him speechless was that even if he succeeded in cultivating it, it wouldn't help his strength at all. It only proved that his control over his bones had reached an extremely high level. Day after day, year after year, the pain intensified. Dongbua Shui Ying had to suppress the pain and cultivate. It was also because he knew that the 3 devil palaces was one of the great opportunities left behind by the devil ancestor for the future generations of the universe that he chose to cultivate this secret art. Otherwise, if the pain was incomparably painful and didn't help his strength, who would want to cultivate it? Dongbua Shui Ying's throat emitted a low roar as his face contorted. This torture had already caused his body to tremble. He could barely maintain his cross-legged sitting posture. However, no matter what, his arms and legs were trembling and contorting. This state had already persisted for 3 days. Because he was already at the final juncture of his cultivation, the pain had also reached an extreme. Boom! The bones in his body regained their calmness. The sweat on Dongbua Shui Ying's body instantly evaporated. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief and open his eyes. I succeeded. Dongbua Shui Ying couldn't help but reveal a smile. He clearly knew that with the 3 devil palaces token, he would be able to cultivate it again and again. Even so, he was still filled with joy when he succeeded. The main reason was that these 3,000 years of cultivation were truly too torturous. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the black-robed old man. Boom! The aura in his body burst forth. Instantly, the illusory image of a huge creature appeared behind him. This was a 4-hooved, furry beast. Its 4 hooves were like pillars that supported the heavens. When the black-robed old man saw this totem, he said, "Towering beast totem, you managed to cultivate it in 3,000 years. You have good comprehension skills." He already knew that Dongbua Shui Ying had cultivated the dissolving blood secret art a long time ago. Hence, he wasn't surprised. Dongbua Shui Ying was in extremely good mood. After cultivating the bone-eroding secret art, he had already cultivated 2 of the 3 basic secret arts. He was only left with the cultivating heart secret art. Once he succeeded, he would be able to obtain the fortuitous encounter left behind by the demonic ancestor. This was also a great fortuitous encounter for paragons. Some paragons didn't even have the chance to enter the 3 devil palaces. Some paragons managed to enter, but they didn't manage to grasp the opportunity the first time. After all, even mastering it within 1,000,000 years was extremely difficult for many paragons. These paragons were already used to cultivating slowly. They had spent countless years to advance from true God to opening their Tao. It was indeed very difficult for them to cultivate a secret art in a short 1,000,000 years. If they failed the first time, it would mean that they had lost all hope. Hence, in this cosmos epic, although there were some who managed to obtain the fortuitous encounter and treasures of the 3 devil palaces, it was extremely rare. The demonic ancestor's actions will definitely be extraordinary. Dongbua Shui Ying was filled with anticipation. However, when he saw the ugly expression on the black-robed old man's face, his heart couldn't help but tremble. I'm a soldier of the army of destruction. It's fine if I'm being bullied now. But don't treat me unfairly after I pass the trials of the 3 devil palaces and obtain the fortuitous encounter. Once you've mastered it, you can leave. The black-robed old man waved his hand. A bubble appeared and enveloped Dongbua Shui Ying. In an instant, the bubble shattered and disappeared. Chapter 676. Dongbua Shui Ying teleported again and again in the Mirage world as he rapidly entered the Black Rain Paradise. Very soon, he saw a huge whirlpool formed by black clouds in the sky. Within the whirlpool, the space was also distorted. This was the passageway to the icy snow paradise. Only the last one of the 3 devil palaces is left. It is also the most difficult one. Dongbua Shui Ying flew into the sky and into the whirlpool. Icy snow paradise. A cold wind blew and snowflakes drifted down. The huge snowflakes covered the entire land with a layer of white. As soon as Dongbua Shui Ying entered, he felt a bone-piercing chill. The snowflakes also landed on his body. However, they were instantly repelled by his luminous sun force. Taking out the token of the 3 devil palaces, Dongbua Shui Ying followed the signal of the token and continued to advance. Just like the previous 2 times, he was enveloped by a bubble that appeared out of nowhere. He was directly teleported to the refined Heart Palace. Dongbua Shui Ying admired the scenery in front of him. He was surrounded by a layer of snow. In the center of the snow was a huge palace that was covered in snow. The snow on the palace was so thick that some of it had even fallen to the ground. On the main door of the palace, there were 3 ancient words, Refined Heart Palace. As he stepped into the palace, he noticed that there was no snow in the palace. The mottled walls were filled with dense words. This was the last of the 3 foundational secret techniques. Refined Heart Secret Technique. Refined Heart Secret Technique. An old voice resounded. Dongbua Shui Ying turned his head and saw a white-robed, white-bearded old man appear in the palace. The old man's beard reached his chest. Little brat from the army of destruction. The Refined Heart Secret Technique is the most difficult of the 3 foundational secret techniques. Ever since the ancestor devil created the 6th Tao, Tianlun, and left behind the 3 devil palaces, there have been many who obtained the token of the 3 devil palaces throughout the universe epochs. Although the requirements for the first 2 secret techniques are high, they're not as high as the requirements for the Refined Heart Secret Technique. Many who were able to cultivate the first 2 secret techniques would never be able to cultivate the Refined Heart Secret Technique. Dissolving blood and eroding bones are fine. The refinement of the heart is to refine the true deity heart, to refine your soul. This is the most difficult part. The white-robed, white-haired, white-bearded elder looked at Dongbua Shui Ying. This is also the most important test set by the demon ancestor. Only by successfully tempering one's heart can one obtain the opportunity left behind by the demon ancestor. Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. Thank you. You're much more polite than the previous 2. Weapon spirits possess intelligence and even feelings. After saying that, the white-bearded old man walked to the side and sat down cross-legged. He then closed his eyes, ignoring Dongbua Shui Ying. Dongbua Shui Ying was slightly taken aback as he looked at the white-bearded old man. He then continued reading the words on the wall. Soon, he had memorized the Cultivating Heart Secret Technique. 3 tribulations of cultivating heart. Dongbua Shui Ying muttered to himself. As long as his true deity heart survived the 3 tribulations, he would be able to cultivate the Cultivating Heart Secret Art. According to Master's information, the Cultivating Heart Secret Art is indeed the most difficult one. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare to underestimate it. If he could obtain the token the first time he entered the 3 devil palaces, it would mean that he had succeeded half the time. Then, if he succeeded in cultivating the Cultivating Heart Secret Art, it would mean that he had succeeded in the other half. As for the Melting Blood Secret Art and the Eroding Bone Secret Art, as long as he had enough time to practice them, most paragons would be able to cultivate them. However, the Cultivating Heart Secret Art was different. It was very common for one to not be able to cultivate it in one's entire life. Begin. Dongbua Shui Ying sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and started cultivating. The Cultivating Heart Secret Art was divided into 3 tribulations. The first tribulation was despair. The true deity heart in his sea of consciousness was slightly bigger. Dongbua Shui Ying was the size of a child. He sat down cross-legged. The moment he started cultivating the secret art, chains appeared on the surface of his true deity heart. The chains coiled around his true deity heart like a soldering iron. Wherever the chains touched his true deity heart, he would feel an excruciating pain. This pain was directed at his soul. As the pain increased, Dongbua Shui-Ying could not help but let out a low roar. His body trembled as he fell to the ground. When he cultivated the first two secret arts, he did not fall to the ground even at the last moment. However, when he started cultivating the Cultivating Heart's secret art, he fell to the ground. The pain was simply too intense, and it was increasing rapidly. Dongbua Shui-Ying clenched his teeth tightly. Blood flowed out from his mouth, and beads of blood seeped out from the surface of his skin. The pain caused his body to tremble uncontrollably. However, he still tried his best to maintain a trace of consciousness and continued to forcefully cultivate the secret art. The pain continued to increase. When Dongbua Shui-Ying felt as though he was in hell and that he would never be able to escape, the pain began to decrease rapidly. It increased quickly, but it decreased quickly as well. Dongbua Shui-Ying heaved a sigh of relief and sat down cross-legged. The beads of blood and sweat on his body instantly disappeared, and he became clean and refreshed. His mood had just improved slightly, but as he continued cultivating the secret art, the pain continued to increase and increase rapidly. The pain increased to a terrifying level, and then decreased again. Again and again, the pain continued to increase, and each time, it was stronger than the previous time. This caused Dongbua Shui-Ying to feel a sense of fear. It was as though there was no end to it. As he cultivated, each wave of pain made him feel as though he was in hell, and each wave was stronger than the previous one. There was no end to it, and it was like a nightmare getting stronger and stronger. Dongbua Shui-Ying's heart was like glass, and he was fearless. Even if he felt fear and despair, he would quickly get rid of it. But he felt mentally tired. He would feel mentally tired after doing everything he could to complete the task. But every time he experienced the painful reincarnation, he would do it with all his might. As the cycle continued without end, even though Shui-Ying's spirit was firm, he would gradually feel his heart and energy becoming thin and sallow. He felt extremely tired. As the saying goes, the first drum of energy, the second is weak, and the third is exhausted. Under such torture, Dongbua Shui-Ying also felt mentally tired. However, because he had not mastered the secret art, he had to continue cultivating. Each of the three tribulations of cultivating heart was difficult to endure. For example, if he failed the tribulation of despair, he would have to go through the tribulation of despair again. He did not want to go through it again. He wanted to succeed in one go. Even if he was mentally tired, he forced himself to endure. He forced himself to endure. Time and time again, there was no end to it. He felt that he had fallen into the abyss of despair, but it was his tenacity that refused to admit defeat. As the saying goes, no confusion, no worry, no fear, empty mind, move forward with indomitable will and only one thought. Right now, Dongbua Shui-Ying had only one thought in his mind. He felt as though his soul was about to collapse, and he even felt that his cultivation of the secret art had become numb, but he continued to endure. When he was young, he had to practice his spear techniques to the extreme every day. Later on, when he was poisoned, he had to endure it until he had enough time before he dared to consume the antidote. This was because consuming the antidote in advance would only shorten his lifespan. However, none of these had caused Dongbua Shui-Ying such pain. There was no end to it. One must know that his soul was much stronger than before, but he was still in such despair. This was only the first of the three tribulations of cultivating heart, despair. It was unknown how long had passed. Dongbua Shui-Ying felt as though he was about to die, but that single thought of his was holding on. He forced himself to endure. Even though he felt that his mental strength had been exhausted, he still endured. When another wave of incomparably terrifying pain engulfed his soul, when the pain gradually subsided, Dongbua Shui-Ying suddenly froze. He realized He had completed the cultivation of the 3 tribulations of cultivating heart, despair tribulation. I've endured it. Dongbua Shuiying was in a daze. Although his mental strength was still fatigued, there was a sense of joy spreading in the depths of his heart. He had finally escaped from this terrifying hell. Dongbua Shuiying's smile was somewhat haggard. He calculated the time. What? Only 2 days? Dongbua Shuiying was slightly astonished. He felt as though a long time had passed while he was experiencing the endless pain. It was as though millions of years had passed. Now that he had completed the cultivation, he realized that only 2 days had passed. Dongbua Shuiying had completely relaxed. After relaxing for half a year, he finally felt as though he had been reborn and no longer felt fatigued. Only then did he begin the second of the 3 tribulations of cultivating heart beating. Chapter 677. His heart was moved. The moment he started cultivating the second tribulation of the cultivating heart secret art, his true deity heart fell into an illusory realm. Within the illusory realm, standing at the peak of a tall mountain, Dongbua Shuiying's body was trembling slightly. The pain was constantly assaulting him. Suddenly, a fair hand was placed on Dongbua Shuiying's shoulder. Instantly, the pain disappeared. Dongbua Shuiying turned around and saw a beautiful lady behind him. In terms of looks, temperament, and charm, this lady was someone Dongbua Shuiying had never seen before in his life. Her voice was gentle and seductive. Why must you torture yourself like this? Why don't you accompany me more? As she spoke, she wrapped herself around Dongbua Shuiying, her breath blowing into Dongbua Shuiying's ears. It was very comfortable, and the pain was gone. Dongbua Shuiying's energy burst forth from his body as he pushed the beautiful lady away. He turned around and left, but as he pushed the lady away, the pain intensified once more. Beside the lake, an old man was fishing. When Dongbua Shuiying appeared, the pain assaulted him. Young man, why are you cultivating so hard? Isn't it because I want to live a leisurely life? Look at me. I eat when I want to eat. I drink when I want to drink. I fish when I want to fish, and I sleep when I want to sleep. Why don't you let go of your obsession and enjoy all of this? Previously, when facing that beautiful lady, Dongbua Shuiying didn't say a single word. But when facing this old man, he said, if you don't cultivate, your lifespan will only be 100 years. But if you cultivate, you will be able to live forever. You still want to cultivate? If you don't cultivate, what will you rely on to eat and drink? You will probably starve to death. If you cultivate, you will be able to enjoy all sorts of delicacies. If you don't cultivate, how many mountains can you climb? How far can you walk? If you cultivate, you will be able to soar into the sky and see the world. If you don't cultivate, even some random soldiers can cause you to fall into a desperate situation. If you cultivate, you will be able to fight against tens of thousands of people. Do you want to cultivate? Dongbua Shuiying explained. When Dongbua Shuiying's parents were arrested when he was a teenager, it made him understand that without enough power to protect him, how could he enjoy his life? An ant might be trampled to death one day. Not to mention, if you don't cultivate, you will only be one of the billions of living beings in the vast universe. 100 years of life is too short, and if you cultivate it, you will have the chance to stand at the peak of the universe, watching the birth and destruction of a star, watching the life and death of a race. You can easily destroy a piece of the void with a flick of your finger, and you will affect the life and death of countless lives. As Dongbua Shuiying spoke, the old man disappeared. Dongbua Shuiying appeared in a luxurious palace hall, sitting on a throne. Below him were a large group of officials, all of whom were kneeling and begging. Your Majesty, why torture yourself? You have a vast territory, peerless generals, and loyal troops. No one dares to make an enemy out of you. Your Majesty, I feel sorry for you for torturing yourself like this. All of them begged. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head lightly. If you only know how to enjoy life, you won't be able to sit firmly on this throne. In this world, there are all sorts of things that people yearn for, be it beauty, emotions, power, delicacies, all sorts of temptations. However, Dong Wuxuang looked at all of this coldly. At his level of cultivation, he was very clear about the workings of the universe. Nothing was given out of thin air. In order to sit firmly on the throne and possess immense power, one would need to put in more effort to control countless officials and the entire world. In order to sit firmly on the throne and possess immense power, one would need to be strong enough to make others who covet their beauty fear them. In order to enjoy all sorts of delicacies, one would need to be qualified enough to make chefs willing to cook them and countless people willing to search for ingredients for them. Even for emotions, one would need to be strong enough to protect them. The laws of the universe were always fair. Therefore, although the hard tribulations were tempting, they weren't realistic. To Dongboi Shuang, it was a joke. Therefore, he easily passed the second hard tribulations, the heart tribulations. After passing 2 tribulations consecutively, Dongboi Shuang had confidence in passing the third hard tribulations. The third hard tribulations was called time. When he started cultivating the third hard tribulations, he would once again fall into an illusory realm. The flow of time within the illusory realm was different from the flow of time in the outside world. It was like an ordinary person dreaming. A long time might pass in the dream, but in reality, it was just a short moment in the night. It was the same for the third heart tribulations. The time tribulations were the only heart tribulations that didn't cause him any pain. Time. Naturally, he had become a main character, starting a new life. From start to finish, Ying could not resist and could not choose. He could only be the main character and experience everything in life. It was like a dream. Facing the temptation of a certain woman, he clearly wanted to reject it. But in the dream, he still chose to accept it. It was the same for the time tribulations. Everything was out of his control, and everything developed naturally. The first main character had an extremely long lifespan. He started off as an ordinary mortal, experiencing love and hate, cultivating, and eventually becoming a devil. This lifespan lasted for 5 billion years. Finally, he became a stage 2 world deity, but because he was too savage and crazy, he was killed by others. 5 billion years passed just like that in the time tribulations. Dongboi Shuang had never experienced such a long period of time before. How long had he cultivated previously? Although his cultivation heart realm was extremely high, it was unavoidable for him to be affected. The second main character. He was even darker. He experienced all sorts of tragedies in the world, and at the age of 16, he completely became a devil. He sought refuge with a demonic god and destroyed the entire world. He even entered the dark abyss and became a powerful demonic god. Savage, cunning, cold, and distrustful. He lived for 3 billion years until he was killed at the stage 3 world deity realm. The third main character. Everything went smoothly for him. He lived the life of a genius without any setbacks. His cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. He had many wives and concubines, and countless beauties threw themselves at him. The main character didn't even want most of them. Even if they didn't have true feelings for him, he wouldn't accept them. This main character lived all the way until he became a stage 4 world deity. He lived an incomparably carefree life before dying of old age. He had lived for more than 12 billion years. At the instant he died of old age, Peng, Dongboi Shuang's true deity heart trembled, and he stopped cultivating. I fail. Dongboi Shuang woke up. He understood that he had failed the third tribulation of the cultivating heart's secret technique. Only 1,100 years have passed in the real world, but more than 10 billion years have passed in the time tribulation. Even his spirit was affected, and he could no longer continue. The time tribulation. It required one's spirit to remain transcendent throughout the entire time tribulation. Clearly, the 3 main characters were just a portion of the time tribulation. Time itself is a mysterious thing. With the passage of time, a person's heart will change. Dongboi Shuang thought to himself, even if my heart is like glass, I can withstand the passage of time. But to completely transform into another person and experience all of that for more than 10 billion years, How can I completely ignore it? How long had he been cultivating? Dongbua Shui Ying even felt like he was in a trance, unable to differentiate between reality and illusion. Even his soul felt old, as if he had really reached the end of his lifespan and was about to die. After failing the third tribulation, Dongbua Shui Ying was not in a hurry to cultivate. His main body stayed with his wife and children in his hometown. Only then did his mental state gradually recover. He didn't know when the time tribulation would end. How many journeys will there be? It was no wonder that even the powerful venerable ones were defeated by the cultivating heart's secret technique. After spending 3,000 years with his wife and children, he felt that he had completely recovered. He tried again. This time, he experienced the lives of three main characters and failed to cultivate. Failure. Failure. Very soon, 10,000 years were up. The white-robed, white-haired, white-bearded old man stood up. He looked at Dongbua Shui Ying without feeling strange. You are trapped in the time tribulation? Only a small portion of true God paragons can pass through the time tribulation. You are ultimately too young. Saying that, he waved his hand. A bubble wrapped around Dongbua Shui Ying and sent him out. Ice and snow filled the sky. Within the icy snow Eden world, Dongbua Shui Ying continued cultivating the cultivating heart's secret technique. But he still failed. Gradually, he started to feel anxious. In just 30,000 years after he was thrown out of the cultivating heart palace hall, within a starry sky in the deity world, an old man wearing a simple robe stood in the starry sky. He was looking at a distant starry sky region. He was the most ancient ruler in the entire cosmos, Primal Master. Amen. Primal Master frowned. Blood Edge, the few of you should hurry over. I might have discovered the base of the ancestor mother religion. Primal Master transmitted. Ever since Shui Ying gave the Bloodshed God Emperor the star map, the rulers had already begun investigating the region of this star map in detail. You've discovered it. We're coming. We're coming. Blood Edge, Temporal Island Lord, Abyss Primogenitor, and the others were all delighted. They rushed over. Chapter 678. In this starry sky, many figures appeared one after another. The simple-robed old man Primal Master, the graceful and luxurious Empress Qian He, the black-robed, black-haired Temporal Island Lord, the golden-armored cold male Purgatory Ruler, the gigantic ruler Nile who was emitting a bloody aura, the muscular man with a face full of stubble Abyss Primogenitor, the starry-robed myriad god Palace Head, and the crimson-robed Bloodblade who had the deepest and most profound aura. There were a total of 8 rulers. Other than the 8 rulers, there were 2 other existences. There was a gentle young man wearing a moon-white robe and a gray-robed, barefooted male with messy hair. This gentle young man was like the spring breeze or rain. He did not give off any pressure and would only make others want to get closer to him. As for the other gray-robed, barefooted male, even though his eyes were gentle, he gave off a natural feeling as if he was the ruler of the surrounding world, causing others to have the impulse to bow down to him. They were Pang, Yi, and Monarch Green. They also had the strength of rulers. This time, the 10 existences standing at the peak of the cultivator cosmos were all gathered here. Primal, you are indeed the oldest living being in our epoch. We have been investigating one by one, yet you were the first to discover it. Ruler Nile teased. I've checked this place multiple times, and this time, I discovered something abnormal. Only after pondering carefully did I discover the flaw. Primal Master chuckled. He was relatively delighted since the ancestor mother religion's concealment techniques were formidable. Since we have discovered it, let's not delay any further. Prepare to act. Bloodblade said. Bloodblade, you shall lead everyone. Abyss Primogenitor said. You shall do it. Primal Master agreed. The 9 present did not object, because everyone knew that Bloodblade was the most complicated in terms of cultivation. Bloodblade was number 1 in both arrays and refinement. One could see how many aspects he was proficient in. Only Bloodblade was suitable to lead rulers who specialized in different aspects. All right, Bloodblade did not reject. He began his preparations. Wong. The void behind Bloodblade suddenly split open. An enormous golden eye appeared in the depths of the crack. This golden eye was looking at the distant region. At this moment, the aura of the bloodshed god emperor was slightly chaotic. The black bird on his shoulder was on guard against the surroundings because the black bird was clear that the bloodshed god emperor could not retaliate at all. He needed its protection. They've discovered us and are preparing to flee, Bloodblade said. The spatial crack behind them closed, and the giant golden eye disappeared. Listen to my command. Killing intent flashed in Bloodblade's eyes. A great battle at the apex of the cultivator cosmos had quietly begun. There were only 10 participants on the mental cultivator side. Icy Snow Cave. Standing on the vast snowy ground, Ying wielded the blood serpent spear and executed his spear arts. His spear arts were filled with killing intent. Spear light streaked across the sky, wreaking havoc in the surroundings. He couldn't withstand the cultivating heart's secret technique's time calamity. Ying also realized that it wasn't suitable for him to forcefully cultivate it. Hence, he temporarily put it aside. He first cultivated the Mirage Dao and researched the Flying Knife True God Weapon and the Slaughter Dao within the Blood Serpent Spear. What he lacked the most now was an offensive technique. Hence, he focused on researching the Slaughter Dao, hoping to open it. He would even occasionally study the Demon Saber. The Slaughter Saber Dao in the Demon Saber was also related to Slaughter. Who? Ying suddenly retracted his spear, revealing a look of shock. What? Big Brother Huicheng, is that true? Ying asked through karma. It's true. Pang, he has become a ruler. This is what my master told me. How can it be false? Paragon Huicheng was also very excited. Pang, he has finally become a ruler. Ying was startled. Pang Yi's combat power was deep and unfathomable. Before becoming a ruler, he was ranked 8th on the Cosmos Deity Demon list, one rank higher than Bloody Ruler and above Monarch Green. Who discovered Pang Yi becoming a ruler? Ying asked. Did he take the initiative to announce it? It was the rulers who discovered an important place belonging to the ancestor mother religion. They thought that it was their base. Hence, the 8 rulers, Pang Yi and Monarch Green, moved together to attack that important place. That important place actually only had a religious leader and 2 protectors under him. But by relying on the terrain, that religious leader managed to resist for a long time. During this process, Pang Yi suddenly displayed an extremely powerful combat power. He actually killed those 2 protectors with a secret technique, causing a flaw to appear in the region controlled by those 2 protectors. That religious leader ultimately used a unique treasure to vanish into thin air. Paragon Huicheng said, but after that important place was attacked, I've heard from my teacher that they had a huge harvest and discovered many secrets of the ancestor mother religion. Ying nodded. After all, it was an important place where a religious leader and 2 protectors were stationed. It was normal for them to discover some secrets. Pang Yi has become a ruler, and his combat power is formidable. Furthermore, he could kill those 2 protectors even with the layers of protection in the important place. This is something Bloodblade and the others could not do. Paragon Huicheng said, formidable, too formidable. I've asked my teacher before, and it's said that this is a new cultivation technique created by Pang Yi. Formidable. Ying praised. After being informed by Paragon Huicheng, God Emperor soon gave a simple explanation to his disciple. Snow Eagle, that star map you've investigated is indeed correct. This time, we discovered an important place of the ancestor mother religion in that star field. According to the arrays of that important place, it should form a huge array with the other 2 important places and the base of the ancestor mother religion. This array is formidable and extremely stable. Fortunately, Pang Yi executed a secret technique and suddenly killed all the lackeys under that religious leader, causing a flaw to appear in the operation of the internal arrays of that important place. Only then did we seize the opportunity to attack it. Ha ha! We've broken through this place. The other two important places and the base of the ancestor-mother religion have lost the protection of this array. Furthermore, according to the deductions of the array, the ancestor-mother religion is definitely in that starfield. Dongbua Shui Ying could feel the joy of his teacher, other than God Emperor who informed him about it. Very soon, other familiar paragons and other powerful existences began transmitting the news over. After all, the birth of a new ruler was a huge matter to the entire cosmos. Naturally, it would cause a commotion. As the news gradually spread, many world deities and even ordinary deities knew that the deity world had given birth to another ruler, Pang Yi. Half a year after Pang Yi became a ruler, he accepted a disciple. This disciple was called Huiming. He was also the eldest disciple brother of Dongbua Shui Ying, senior disciple brother Huiming. The day after Huiming became Pang Yi's disciple, it shook the entire deity world and abyss. Because he had transcended, he had become a powerful existence. He was a stage 4 world deity who spread his faith wantonly. Countless karmic entanglements had transcended and become a powerful existence just a day after he became Pang Yi's disciple. This matter shook the entire cosmos. Be it rulers or world deities, they were all stunned. After all, it was almost impossible to transcend to become a stage 4 world deity by absorbing faith stones. Huiming had actually transcended just a day after becoming Pang Yi's disciple. Everyone could guess that it had something to do with this newly born ruler, Pang Yi. In fact, Pang Yi soon admitted that even if he was entangled by countless karmic entanglements, he could still transcend with his cultivation technique. Thereupon, everyone was in an uproar. Many stage 4 world deities desired to become Pang Yi's disciple. Even the rulers were asking Pang Yi for help. Even the bloodshed God Emperor asked, "Is it possible for Shui Ying and Bamboo Mountain to rely on this cultivation technique to transcend? They've already opened their own paths. I can't help them." Pang Yi directly refused. Dongbua Shui Ying was also thinking of ways to get his wife, Jing Xiao, to become Pang Yi's disciple. There were simply too many experts who wanted to become his disciple. All of them wanted to transcend like Huiming, because there were simply too many demanding. For the sake of transcending, stage 4 world deities were willing to do anything. Pang Yi also knew that he had to face all of this. "If you want to become my disciple, that's fine. Come to my place and listen to my lectures on the Tao for 3 days. If you can comprehend anything, then please leave," Pang Yi directly announced. "First, let me remind you that Huiming is the only one who has managed to cross the threshold of my cultivation technique." When it was time for his public lecture on the Tao, large groups of stage 4 world deities, be it the deity world or the dark abyss, even many world deities who lived in seclusion, including some weaker stage 3 and stage 2 world deities, would rush over. Even paragons and rulers would send their avatars, or true god avatars, over. Dongbua Shui Ying also sent a world deity avatar to listen to his lecture on the Tao. The moment he heard this, Dongbua Shui Ying was stunned. Pang Yi's cultivation technique required the spread of faith. Even so, it was extremely difficult to cross the threshold. There were so many world deities present, including stage 3 and stage 2 world deities, but not a single one had managed to cross the threshold. For people like Dongbua Shui Ying, who had never absorbed faith energy, it was even more impossible. The commotion caused by Pang Yi's cultivation technique also gradually died down. This made everyone understand that transcending was not an easy task. A year after Pang Yi became a ruler, the most ancient ruler in the cosmos, the Primal Master, finally edited and compiled the newest Cosmos Deity Demon list. He passed it down to all the experts on the list. Naturally, it was passed down to Dongbua Shui Ying. Chapter 679. On the peak of the snowy mountain, Dongbua Shui Ying was seated cross-legged. Large amounts of snow had accumulated, turning him into a snowman. Dongbua Shui Ying did not seem to mind this bit of coldness. He was fully focused on cultivating the cultivating heart's secret technique. Dongbua Shui Ying, A familiar voice could be heard. It was Primal Master's voice. Dongbua Shui Ying temporarily stopped cultivating. At the same time, a copy of the Cosmos Deity Demon list was transmitted over. Oh! The accumulated snow and ice on his body were blasted away. Sitting cross-legged, Shui Ying stood up with a smile. Primal Master has actually ranked me so high. I thought I would be at the bottom of the Paragons, but it seems that killing 2 protectors of the Ancestor Mother religion has helped me push my ranking up. The newly revised Cosmos Deity Demon list. First place was still Bloodblade. His position was unshakable and unfathomable. Second place was Abyss Primogenitor. Third place was Primal Master. The 3 of them had always had a stable position. Before Pang Yi broke through, the other 5 rulers specialized in certain aspects. In a true battle, the gap between them and the top 3 rulers was obvious. 4th place, Pang Yi 5th place, Purgatory Ruler 6th place, Temporal Island Lord 7th place, Myriad God Palace had 8th place, Empress Qian H in 9th place. Bloody Ruler, the newly born ruler, Pang Yi, was ranked 4th, suppressing the other 5 rulers. He was even stronger than Bloodblade and the other 2 rulers. One had to know that after breaking through, rulers had to gradually stabilize and accumulate their strength to become stronger. But Pang Yi was able to suppress Temporal Island Lord and the other 3 the moment he broke through. One could see how extraordinary he was. Next were the Paragons. 10th place, Monarch Green 11th place, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction 12th place, Monarch Hex Cricket 13th place, Water Devil King 14th place, White Sovereign King 15th place, Bitter Cultivator. 25th place, Monarch Destruction. 33rd place, Monarch Dongbo. 65th place, Hui Ming. 100th place, Forefather Fierce Tyrant on the Cosmos Deity Demon list. There were 9 rulers and 36 Paragons, including Bamboo Mountain and Dongbua Shui. In other words, the weakest Paragon was ranked 45th. I'm ranked 33rd. There are 12 venerables behind me. Dongbua Shui Ying thought to himself. Right now, he cannot be considered as a top-tier venerable. He could only be considered as an ordinary venerable. As for ordinary Paragons, they had lived for a very long time, even longer than Bloodblade. They had many experiences. They had opened their Daos, comprehended the laws and profound mysteries, researched the traces left behind by the previous epochs, and comprehended all sorts of methods. Over the years, most of these ordinary venerables were extraordinary, and some of them had powerful treasures on them. For example, although the Monarch of Destruction was an ordinary Paragon, he was the master of Bloodblade. The Bloodblade had to repay the kindness of teaching him. How could he not have treasures on him? Among ordinary venerable ones, he was one of the top few, ranked 25th. Dongbua Shui Ying could be considered the middle level of ordinary Paragons. Just by relying on his Tao of Mirage, he could only survive and was not qualified to suppress the 12 ancient Paragons. It was just that he could kill 2 protectors from the Ancestor Mother religion, proving that he was not weak in terms of offense. Naturally, his ranking was higher. Senior disciple Brother Hui Ming is quite formidable. He is just transcended, and he is ranked 65th. The cultivation technique created by Ruler Pang Yi is indeed mysterious. Dongbua Shui Ying praised. Dongbua Shui Ying was relatively calm and joyful when he saw this list. But many experts across the deity world and Abyss were shocked when they saw this list. Hui Ming transcended after becoming Pang Yi's disciple. Even though everyone was shocked that he could be ranked 65th, they could still accept it. After all, Ruler Pang Yi's cultivation technique had long been known to be mysterious. Until now, other than the creator, Hui Ming was the only one who successfully cultivated this cultivation technique. Pang Yi being ranked 4th amongst the rulers, everyone felt that it was normal. But Dongbua Shui Ying, many powerful existences, and some ordinary Paragons were dumbfounded. Few knew that Dongbua Shui Ying had killed the protectors of the Ancestor Mother religion. After all, most powerful existences had never heard of the Ancestor Mother religion, and the ordinary Paragons knew little about it. Those who knew that Dongbua Shui Ying had killed the protectors of the ancestor mother religion were the rulers and the few apex paragons. Thus, in the hearts of many powerful existences, Dongbua Shui Ying was still a slightly more heaven-defying stage for world deity. Even though he had once suppressed Bamboo Saint, there have been some heaven-defying stage for world deities in the history of the deity world. But the Cosmos Deity Demon list had actually ranked Dongbua Shui Ying amongst the paragons. Furthermore, he was ranked in the middle, suppressing a total of 12 paragons. This was too unfathomable. Such a matter had only happened once since the birth of this cosmos epic, and that was with Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. 33rd, Dongbua Shui Ying is ranked 33rd? How is this possible? Could he have made a mistake? But the Cosmos Deity Demon list was decided by the legendary Primal Master, and he would not have made such a mistake. He must have had sufficient confidence. Unless Dongbua Shui Ying has opened a Dao like the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. Those who could obtain the list were ranked in the top 100. Their horizons were much broader. They were not like the stage 4 world deities who thought that Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had relied on his absolute art to survive until now. These people in the top 100 were clear that Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had opened his Dao when he was a stage 4 world deity. Furthermore, he had cultivated it to an extremely high realm and was ranked at the apex even amongst paragons. And now, it seemed that another such existence had appeared in this cosmos. Dongbua Shui Ying has opened his Dao? Is this real or fake? How long has he cultivated? Just 1,000,000 years, right? Old brother Hua Cheng, Monarch Dongbua has opened his Dao? All the powerful existences in the entire deity world and abyss were discussing about the newest Cosmos Deity Demon list. Some of the weaker ones who did not have the qualifications to obtain the Cosmos Deity Demon list received the news from their good friends. After all, the information contained in this Cosmos Deity Demon list was too shocking. In an instant, the news spread rapidly. Almost all the paragons and powerful existences knew of this matter. Even those who had some relationship with Dongbua Shui Ying came to congratulate him. Monarch Dongbua, congratulations. Since the birth of this cosmos, you are the second stage 4 world deity to open his Dao. What's there to congratulate? He has no way of transcending. Monarch Dongbua has opened his Dao in 1,000,000 years. Transcending is definitely not difficult. One by one, they transmitted the news. Dongbua Shui Ying also replied to them. When they first heard of the newest Cosmos Deity Demon list, many experts were still in an uproar. But very soon, a discussion began to spread. Pang, he has become a ruler, and the Bloodshed God Palace has one less ancestor. The new 3 ancestors should be Monarch Destruction, Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and Monarch Dongbua. The news of the new 3 ancestors naturally spread. The apex existences like Monarch Green, Paragon Hua Cheng, Monarch Hex Cricket, Water Devil King, and others did not have any objections to this. After all, they knew that Dongbua Shui Ying had killed 2 protectors from the ancestor mother religion. Just based on this battle achievement, it was sufficient for him to become one of the 3 ancestors of the Bloodshed God Palace. Some of the weaker paragons and ordinary powerful existences were muttering inwardly. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is an apex paragon. Pang, he was not a ruler in the past, yet he could fight against one. The weakest Monarch Destruction has accumulated a deep foundation and is ranked 25th. Now that Pang, he has become a ruler. Dongbua Shui Ying has become one of the 3 ancestors. He is ranked 33rd, yet he is the weakest of the 3 ancestors. There are some who felt that Dongbua Shui Ying was too weak, pulling down the level of the 3 ancestors. But in any case, they knew that Shui Ying was already a paragon and could barely be considered qualified to be in that position. But the news of the 3 ancestors was something many stage 4 world deities and weaker world deities paid close attention to. After all, many weaker cultivators dreamed of becoming a disciple of one of the 3 ancestors. Now that Pang, he had become a ruler, They heard that the new three ancestors had lost Pang, he, and gained a new Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang. He has become one of the three ancestors. He is a stage 4 world deity, and he has become one of the three ancestors. Who is spreading this rumor? What kind of joke is this? He is only cultivated for a short period of time, yet he is qualified to become one of the three ancestors. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.